boy.
All right, welcome back to the IMNerd Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freeway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny. And today, we are talking about one of my favorite games of all time, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is officially out. It came out over the past weekend, and I have been off from work. I'm going to be off work for at least the next week, and I have been playing it nonstop. As some of you guys have saw, I was streaming a lot. I think I had a 14-hour stream in one of the first 2 days of the game coming out. somebody who was watching my stream at the beginning came back on the 14th hour and was like, holy shit, 14 hours, you're still streaming. I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. But yes.
Dude, I've had a lot of streams like that. Like I remember just like before, I haven't had a chance to stream this one too much because of work and stuff. But in the past on various games, I remember like I'd start a stream and then 10, 12, 15 hours later, somebody shows up like, yo, I went to bed. I went to bed, slept a full 8 hours, woke up, got ready for work, and you're still streaming.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious how much I've played this game already, and it literally just came out. I probably have 50 hours or more in it, if I really think about it. It's almost been a week, because this is actually the anniversary night of it coming out. We're recording this on Wednesday night, July 6th, and so it came out at midnight. And funny story about this, so to get into this episode, the way this game came out for me, I had intended to take a nap after we recorded the podcast last Wednesday, and I was gonna take a nap, and then I was gonna set an alarm for 12 a.m. and then see if the game came out, because no one knew if it was coming out at 12 a.m. or at 3 a.m. because of the West Coast. Technically, that's midnight over there, so we didn't know how it was gonna work. No one knew, and there was all of these conflicting opinions and things online. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just set an alarm for 12 a.m., I'll set an alarm for 3 a.m., and then we'll figure it out from there. Well, I never got to go to sleep after recording the podcast, editing it, and getting it posted for that Thursday drop last week. And next thing I knew, I started getting tired around like 11:30 p.m. So I was in bed, I started dozing off, and I got a notification on my fucking phone that Critical Hit Plus was streaming Sunbreak, which is Kenny's actual Twitch where he streams like video games. It came up as I'm literally I'm falling asleep, like fully. I'm accepting that the game is not coming out, and I'm going to go to bed, and I'll just play it at 3 a.m. So I assumed that at 12, I don't know why, but I was like, oh, it's not coming out at 12. I don't hear any like people talking about it or anything like that. So I'm going to bed. And my phone lit up, and it was like Critical Hit Plus is streaming, and the thing said Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is finally here. And I turned it on, and I messaged Kenny on Discord. I was like, yo, is it out? And he was talking to people on his Twitch, so he didn't hear me. He didn't see the messages immediately. So I'm looking at my Switch. I get up out the bed. I grab my Switch off my desk. I'm trying to fucking get it to download. Every time I start Monster Hunter Rise, though, nothing is happening. It's just Monster Hunter Rise, base game. And I was very frustrated because I'm like, is he trolling? What's going on here? Like, but then I looked at his stream, and he's actually playing Sunbreak. It's like somebody wants to talk to you in Kimura Village, and you see that girl, Theo Rain, come, and she's in the village talking about you got to hunt a Daimyo Hermitar, and all of this shit. So I'm getting like pumped, but also very, very annoyed that my game won't let me play Sunbreak, and I keep restarting it, checking for updates. I'm doing everything. I'm like getting myself together, wiping crust out of my eyes, getting in my chair, setting up my green screen, just doing all kinds of stuff. I was super excited about this, and eventually it just let me on. And that first night felt so good. We started playing at midnight, and I literally did not stop playing until so going from Thursday midnight, right? So hour, minute, second one of Thursday of last week. And I didn't stop playing until I want to say 4 p.m. to go to my locals to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So I played 12 hours from 12 to 12 at least, and then another 4 hours. So 16, I played 16 hours total of Sunbreak the very first night, 16 hours straight.
Yeah, I streamed it till like 5 a.m. I want to say, and then I had to go to bed for work.
Yeah, I remember. Kenny had to go to bed for work. Yep. And crazy.
Yeah, that first night, what happened with me was I was seeing if it came out, and then a friend of mine messaged me and he said, yo, I think it's out. And then so I went to go try to download it, and like I wasn't getting it, and I was like, are you sure? And I like wasn't getting the download. He was like, and then he confirmed, he's like, no, like I'm legit downloading the update. And then I still wasn't getting it, and then he said his download was done. He booted it up, and like he was playing Sunbreak.
Yeah.
And my download still hadn't started. And so at that point, I was like, all right, well, if it's out, I'll just start my stream. And I think if I remember correctly, I started my stream finally I got to download the work, and then so it took however long it took to download on stream, and then I actually started it. And then at some point I saw the Discord message on my phone from Frazier, and I messaged him back. I just said yes, and yeah, and
Man, that
then
was
he
good enough for
joined,
me.
and then he joined chat, and then it was like me, him, Kevin, and like a couple other people in and out, and we were doing hunts.
Can
We
I
were
just
hunting it up.
say, I really don't like that Nintendo or Capcom or whoever is really cheap, because when Iceborne came out, on the actual home screen of your PlayStation 4's interface, the icon for Monster Hunter World became Sunbreak. There was Valkana, the Elder Dragon for that game, like wrapped in ice. It was really cool looking. You could tell you were playing Iceborne specifically and not Worlds. With the Switch and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, it still just looks like Monster Hunter Rise, which was confusing for the demo too. The way to get to the demo for Sunbreak was bad. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, that's definitely Capcom, and I don't really know why, because just as an example, my little brother plays Fortnite, and he now plays it on his Xbox. But before he had Xbox, he played it on his Nintendo. Whenever there's a new season of Fortnite, it updates the icon on the Switch.
Yeah.
So like so it's just for whatever reason Capcom didn't update the icon, but
hate that.
it's weird because the demo says Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak demo, and it's like a whole different icon.
Yes, and then, but the way to get to it, you have to go to Monster Hunter Rise base game in the eShop and download the demo for Sunbreak from Monster Hunter Rise instead of going to Sunbreak and downloading the demo. So I really do not like that. It's just one of those like small grievances that I wanted to air out, because it is kind of confusing when you go to your homepage and you see Monster Hunter Rise. Like, that's not what I'm playing though. I'm just simply not playing that game. There's so many things different about this game, and you can feel it. So one of my friends asked me, "Hey, is this just a small, like some DLC, or is this a completely new game?" And I didn't know how to answer that question, because I was thinking to myself, this game feels so different from Rise to me. It actually feels like a completely new game in the sense that, like, okay, first off, let's start with the difficulty. They actually turned the difficulty dial up a lot. I've carded more times than I've carded probably in any Monster Hunter game I've ever played in my life in playing this game. Like, this game is genuinely hard, and I feel like I'm a pretty skilled Monster Hunter player. Like, I think everyone who's ever played with me or seen me, like, I'm pretty efficient at hunting in general. But I just find a lot of the attacks are doing something that they never ever did before, which is tracking your hunter late into their animation before the attack actually goes for you. So, for example, in Rise, and I've been explaining this to all my friends, in Rise, you can walk out of every attack. I play light bowgun as my number one weapon. Like, this is my coming out story. I'm a light bowgun user. And I play light bowgun more than any other weapon. And in Rise, that game was extremely easy for me. The easiest Monster Hunter I ever played, like, full stop. That was the easiest Monster Hunter game I've ever played in my life. And it's because of the wirefall recovery. That's not a thing in any other game. If you get hit, you can't just like pop back up and out of the way. So that made Rise extremely easy. But the other thing that made Rise easy is that they seem to slow down every monster for some reason. Rajang was the main one I noticed. When you get to like kind of the end of Rise, you fight Rajang. He's supposed to be, in every other monster game, Rajang is scary. He's supposed to be a very intimidating and hard fight, and he always was in all the other games. Him and Deviljho are like iconic for being difficult and intimidating. When you fight him in Rise, it kind of sucks because people who I know who like are pretty casual at playing Monster Hunter can just body Rajang with zero difficulty. He's not really scary, and that kind of takes a lot away from fighting him, which has now been brought back with the Rajang of Sunbreak, because he has attacks that close distances real fast and they track you. And also his beam attack now, it tracks you 2 seconds later than it did in Rise. So when he does his beam, the wind up for it, you can blatantly see it's coming. But if you roll too early, you'll just get hit and die. Like, you could literally walk out of it in Rise basically, and you're fine. But in Sunbreak, if you roll very early into him when he does that first initial shake, he does like a shake before he shoots it out. If you roll when he does that shake, you're getting hit. Like, that move is going to track you at where you're at when you finish your roll. So I really like the new difficulty buffs that they did to all the monsters. Like, they do a lot of damage, but that's expected from G rank. That's always been like that. But it's not even just the damage. It's like some attacks are designed blatantly by the developers to kill you if you use wirefall recovery.
Yeah.
And I love that, because there was only one attack in the entire game for Monster Hunter Rise that did that, and it was Ajanav's. Ajanaf has this attack where he digs his head at you really hard, and if you wirefall recover, you die, because he does it again really fast, and it just kills you. And everyone who I know who plays Rise has been killed by that before. Literally everyone. And so yesterday I was playing with one of my friends, And he doesn't play Monster Hunter Rise that much, but he plays it enough. So he wirefall recovered against Ajanef and died. Like, he fainted. I was like, what happened? Did you wirefall recovery? And he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, you can't do that against him. You can't do it on that attack. And he was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, that attack is designed to punish you for doing what you just did. So it's going to make you think about when you should wire recover. You need to have restraint, as opposed to the game kind of makes everyone who plays it, I'm talking about Rise here, base Rise, it makes everyone who plays it kind of just naturally press L2X to just waterfall recovery every move. Like, you just kind of do it, and there really is no punishment for it either. So there's only a few monsters that can actually do something about it. I think the other one is like Nargacuga. There's like a tail whip, he spins around, and if you waterfall recovery, it's a chance that you can get hit by when he comes back around. But the difference with that attack is that it doesn't hit that hard. So you get hit by the first hit, and even if you waterfall recover, you'll be left with like a slither of life. Ajanefs will kill you. Ajanefs, for whatever reason, that attack hits so outrageously hard.
T-Rex, he fucking slams his head into you.
Yeah. So I really like the difficulty buffs, and there's more to say about the difficulty stuff, but I'll give Kenny some space to express how he feels about the difficulty of the game in general for Sunbreak. Like, can you feel a difference in how it is going on a hunt and killing a monster and being hit and all that stuff?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's definitely harder, obviously, but it is a higher rank. But it's interesting. Like, I went through and I was playing it and having a ton of fun. And like the early part of the game, I was a little worried because I was still having a lot of fun. It's just fun hunting monsters. But the early part of the game, I was a little worried because like it was kind of easy. Like,
yeah.
And I know that it's just like a Great Azuchi and a Hermitar or whatever.
Yeah, but they're not going to do anything ever.
I still wanted like Master Rank Great Azuchi to take like half my life with a fucking tail swipe. Like, I wanted to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And so at first I was a little worried. But then as I got a bit further along and I fought some of the better monsters specifically, and this is funny because this is what happened on my first playthrough of Rise. Magnamalo was like, he was some new shit. Like, he was still Magnamalo, but when I fought Master Rank Magnamalo, like, I went in and like I was like, he's my most hunted monster. I've hunted him more than every other monster in Rise. And so I was like, I've got Magnamalo down. I went in and he killed me 3 times. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And that was my only like quest failed up to that point. That was my first like full on quest failed, and it was the Magnamalo, and he just kicked my ass. Like, he came ready. He was no.
When you fought him, were you by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, because I haven't failed any quests by myself, but I've failed a quest with a group of people. I think it was 2 days ago. They got wiped out by Diablos, and that shit was so funny to me. It was like me, Medina, Jalen, and I forget who the other person was, but they got bodied by Diablos, and I thought it was really funny because Diablos's moves have been the same for 20 years. That is not an exaggeration. He does the exact same thing. They really don't give him anything new in any game. Even the attacks that you see only in G rank, right? So like, to you guys, you're probably seeing stuff like, oh, he didn't do that in high rank. That's a new attack. That's not a new attack. That attack was in World or Iceborne. That attack was in 4U. He has so many of, like, his attacks have always just been the same stagnant attacks. And so when I fight Diablos, you know, it's my old knowledge kicking in. I know exactly what's coming, and I play a weapon that counters like no other. Like, you know, all the weapons have counters now, but none of them are quite longsword level. And so when I'm fighting him, like, he's going to hit me at least once or twice during the hunt, but for the most part, everything is getting countered, but everyone else just gets run over and destroyed. And it's funny to me because in my head, there's 2 monsters that I consider very easy. Tigrex and Diablos, because they only do run at you, and that's their entire DPS. Like, all of their damage is put into their run. So because I know that that's the only way to really do damage, it makes them really easy to counter. I think in anime, Aizen said, you know, it's true that you are stronger than me. Genri Yusai Yamamoto, talking about Captain Commander. He's like, you are stronger than me, and if we fought one-on-one, you would surely win. However, because everyone knows exactly what you can do, it makes you very easy to counter. Wonder Weiss. And then he, like, you know, the Rankar Wonder Weiss comes out of nowhere and absorbs the fire. So I just think like Diablos and Tigrex are very easy to fight because they literally do one thing. Tigrex does have one new move that I think is really fucking cool. And it's like
punch, the Superman punch.
Yeah, like he jumps at you and punches, right?
Yeah, he like jumps in the air and fucking punches the ground.
I love that. That
and then he like rolls. He punches so hard that he like falls over a little bit and like gets back up.
Yeah, because he's a brute. He was the first brute wyvern in Monster Hunter. I remember he came out in Monster Hunter 2, so he's one of the earliest monsters, and he's considered a brute. And he literally fights by kind of damaging himself. He's very rough. He's a very rough mech. They actually show when he turf wars with monsters, he's like tussling, rolling, slamming, but he can take it. He's used to that. His body's very hardened. So he likes that rough shit. Whereas other monsters who are a little bit more used to staying away and just killing their prey from a distance, Rathalos, they don't like Tigrex because Tigrex's arms are stronger than Rathalos. So he's like, I don't fucking want to deal with this guy. I don't want to tussle with him. But
he can fucking tussle.
But yeah, the game is there's a lot of things that I think are amazing about it. But the difficulty I think is the best thing because I'm seeing a lot of people die more often, which is good because I just felt like base Rise was very easy. It kind of just got everybody in the door. Like World was mainstream Monster Hunter, one of the biggest games of all time actually, as far as sales go and just Capcom. And then that game went up crazy. So Iceborne was great, and then we got Rise, and I feel like it's even more accessible than World and Iceborne were. But super easy, even though I don't really like when I was playing Rise. In my head, I was always thinking like, man, this game is actually far too easy. But I won't voice it. But it was like, this is actually just like the easiest game ever. And now I could not believe how difficult they made this game. Like Shogun Sanitar is a roadblock for a lot of people. A lot of people, that monster is going to be an actual menace. Like Shogun Sanitar, I think his programming is terrible.
What's so interesting is that Shogun Centaur. Okay, I was thinking of Hermitar.
No,
Centaur's the blue one.
Centaur's the blue one. The blue one is very real.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people that were having trouble with the first crab.
Okay.
And I was actually like, I was just kind of surprised. Granted, when I fought him on my own, I realized I thought so. When we fought him together, we just dicked on him. It was like you, me, he just got rolled on.
You talking about the red crab, right?
The red one, the first crab to get in the master rank. We just rolled on him. And then eventually I went back and fought him by myself. And he actually got me with a couple tricks. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's a little bit harder than I thought he was. But he was still easy.
Yes. But all things considered, yes.
I know a couple people that were like, yo, this fucking crab is fucking me up. And they were like...
Now, Shogun Centaur, though, and I know you fought it a couple times by now, that I told my friend Gus, I've told Xavier, I've told my friend Dennis, everybody that I hunt with, I pretty much have told them, I think Shogun Centaur is bullshit. I think I think the way that monster fights is complete bullshit. I don't think that the devs intended him to be like that. Okay, so naturally monsters have attacks and then they have cooldowns and then they have like this attack is wide, this attack is narrow. This guy he spams, so all of the cooldown nonsense that I just spoke about doesn't exist. He does not do cooldowns. He just keeps attacking.
That's right, baby.
That's the first thing. The second thing is all of his attacks are wide and narrow at the same time. So if you dodge to the left or right, or if you dodge like backwards, his attacks will still catch you. He tracks you so late into them, and they inflict bleed often. So you have to deal with that on top of the damage. His damage is crazy. My defense right now is 717. He hit me today with his strongest move where he holds both his arms out and then just like closes them like scissors. That shit took 70% of my health, and it also inflicted bleed. And then he followed it up by trying to come over to me and swipe me. And I was like, holy shit, like, let me get up. And you can't, and that specific move, you cannot wire recovery it. It locks your wire bugs. So
yeah.
It's a crazy move. And honestly, it's a little too fast for all things that it does. Inflict bleed, a ton of damage. And then he doesn't like, after he does it, he doesn't just like chill on you. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna dig on the ground now. And you gotta deal with that. So
I love that monster. That monster is like annoying, but I also just love. For some reason I really love both the crabs.
Yeah.
I love the one hunt where you have to fight both of them in the arena.
I did that one. I did that one.
I thought it was really cool. So So as people probably know by now, Rise is the Monster Hunter game I've played the most. I've dabbled with a couple other ones, but like never longer than like 5 hours. The one I've now played the second most is Monster Hunter GU Generations Ultimate, and I've fought a Shogun Centaur in that game. I might have beaten it. I don't remember, but I fought a Shogun Centaur in that game, and I don't think I ever realized if you could even do it in that game. I didn't do it, but you can break the shell on his back, and I thought that was really cool. Broke the shell on his back in Rise.
That's in every game he's ever.
Yeah. I assumed it would. I just never did it. I didn't know I could do it till this game. And I broke the shell on his back, and I got so hyped. I was like, holy shit. And just like blew the shell up, and then he has like this little nipple back there that you start dicking on.
In Monster Hunter 2, which is the game that he was introduced in, the crabs that came out in Monster Hunter 2, he You could break the shell. You typically needed a hammer to do it, or a gun. Obviously, a gun can pierce through him, but he doesn't like keeping his back to you, if you notice. And he has a specific attack. When you're behind him, he has an attack that he's done since Monster Hunter 2. It's great programming. They kept it in because it's such a good attack. But he just literally turns and swipes you.
Yep.
And it's a move that has hard knockdown too. It's very telegraphed. If you're behind him, like, to me, when I'm behind him, I know it's coming. I know at some point while I'm behind him, he's going to go for that attack. So I get ready to prep one of my counters. And now all the weapons I play have counters. So switch axe, great sword, long sword, heavy bow gun. They all have counters, which is so funny. Because like every weapon in this game can counter now. I mean, literally all of them. The light bow gun, my main weapon counters now. I don't know what's going on, but this is literally the game of Monster Hunter counter, which when the game was coming out, I was concerned because the idea of every weapon having a counter doesn't sit well with me because of how broken the longsword was. Top 2 weapons in the entire Rise. It was bow and longsword. Those are the strongest weapons in Rise. And I was a little concerned that every weapon was going to become like an extension, I guess, of longsword, which is bad because of how overtuned longsword was in Rise. But now I'm realizing because of the way the monster's attacks are so wide sweeping and they track you so late, the counters are actually needed in a lot of cases. Some moves, I feel like you genuinely cannot escape with just a roll if you have no evade extender. And that's new. Like, that is a very new thing. Everything in Rise you could roll out of. There wasn't a single attack that one roll with 0 evade extender couldn't get you out of. Not a single one. And in this game, it's like, yo, I fucking rolled that and he still just hit me. Like, it's too big. The radius that it covers, Astalos, for example. Great example, Astalos. If he slams his wing down and you roll, you're gonna hit. That the wing is so huge, and the way like the hit detection is on it, it's covers such a wide radius that a roll on when he slams his wing down is not gonna do anything. It just does nothing.
I've only had a chance to fight him twice so far. I'm super excited to get to the point where, like, so one of my favorite things to do in base Rise was when I went to make like every armor and every greatsword, and slowly like I made like half the hammers, things like that. But what's really cool about giving yourself the goal of making every greatsword and every armor is it gives you a reason to fight all the monsters more than once, or more than twice, whatever. But so I'm just really excited to get to the point where after I do kind of all the story stuff, and then I can go and focus on hunting the monsters a lot. I don't know. I'm excited to fight Astalos again because I don't know everything he can do yet.
Yeah, Astalos is he has a lot of the same moves that he had in 4U, where he first came out as one of the 4 emperors, and they did give him a lot of new stuff. I also think that his size is incredibly changed. He's so big now, and maybe this is a what do they call it? Mandela effect. Maybe he was always big, and the characters were smaller on the PSP anyway. Because that's where I first probably played him, or like the 3DS. When I first played him on 3DS, the screen is super small, your character's super small, and I remember him just seeming not that big. But for whatever reason, in Rise, he just is so much bigger than I recall. And so when you're trying to get out the way from a lot of his attacks, it's like, yo, there's nowhere I could have gone that would not have hit me. I had to counter or stay on the ground and do stuff like that. So he's really cool. I also think that the way he looks graphically is amazing. The wings, the way they light up and glow like that, and the thunder and all of that, it's really cool. The green thunder, something you don't see on like pretty much any other monster. Xenogris is a bluish color, and Astalos is completely like a vibrant green. He looks just a really, really cool fight, really cool monster.
Something I really like about the size of the monsters, and it's just something in general. Like, we have a picture up of Garen Golem and the hunters around him. And when you play this game, sometimes it's easy to forget. But, like, the monsters are so fucking big. The other day, I cut off a Rathalos tail, right? And it's just, when you realize that the piece of the Rathalos tail that you cut off is, like, the size of your fucking hunter.
Yes, your character, when they kind of disappear into the tail.
Like, dude, the tail, like, the little tiny chunk you cut off of Rathalos' tail is like the size of your fucking entire body.
Your hunter could literally hollow it out, like carve out the meat of the tail
and sit inside it
and lay in it. Like,
yeah. So like, I don't know. That's something about the game that's because it's like you're just like this little, and you're going out and fighting these big, just like these monsters, like these big, and that adds to like the fun of the game, I think. And I don't know. I just really enjoy the game.
I agree. Sizing definitely increased in this game.
Yeah. The size of the monsters is so like it adds to the epicness of it.
It does. It makes it feel more like Monster Hunter. I don't know why, but I did feel like monsters were a little smaller in Rise, but I thought it was an aesthetic choice because Rise in general is stylized. The way it looks and everything about it is very stylistic. So I thought that maybe the monsters being a little smaller than I'm used to them being was just something that was, I don't know, a Rise thing, because I swear in World, I think that World's whole goal was to make it feel atmospheric. Like the World has endemic life that is actually living without you, and it's fully alive. The maps are so vibrant and so alive, and the monsters are really really big. And I just got used to the way Rise is, and it's not, this is not something that I care one way or the other for. Like monsters being bigger or smaller is like, okay, it's fine. But I noticed in Sunbreak that the monsters are blatantly bigger more often. Obviously they can change size because they always have. Like you could fight a very tiny Rathalos, you could fight a very very big Rathalos. And it's funny because I remember in Monster Hunter 1, all the way back in the PSP days, when you would fight a gigantic Rathalos, his tail would just miss you. And we used to say, it's kind of funny, fighting a Gold Crown Rathalos is easier because he would do his tail whip, but he was so tall that it would not have hit detection on you. Whereas a really small Rathalos, you can't possibly escape the tail, and it made him so much more annoying. So stuff like that, I always find to be cool, but yeah.
It's funny because my very first Barryoth hunt in Sunbreak was the large. So I go into the hunt and it's me and Connie, and I was like, this fucking Barryoth is huge. Like, I was like, this guy is just like, he's fucking huge. Like, I can't believe how fucking big he is. And it's just like, it's abnormal. He's massive. And he's hitting me with shit, and I'm getting messed up by him. I couldn't. And I was like, this has to be the biggest Barryoth I ever fought. And then I killed him. And then it said largest size updated. I was like, thank God I wasn't crazy.
No, you're not
because
crazy.
That was the biggest Barryoth I fought. He was gigantic.
I want to say something about the fact that you brought up Barryoth too. His new attack is one of the attacks I'm talking about where you can't get away. You cannot possibly get away from it. So he has this new tail whip, right? And then after he does the tail whip, he fucking does a flip with his tail and it sweeps the area.
That thing caught me so many times. So I got hit by it, and I was like, first I got hit by it, and I was like, oh shit, he got me.
Yeah.
And then like the second or third time, I was like, that attack's new. I was like, he did not do that before.
Bro, I'm sure you probably tried to dodge out of the way too, and you realize, holy shit, man. This attack is like, it sweeps such a, and it's also because of his size, that plays a part in it. But because of his size, compounded with the new move being a sweeping, flipping tail attack, it is so hard to not be near it. If you're attacking him, especially with Greatsword, if you're attacking him and he's about to do that move, you have choices, right? You have like Power Sheath, you have Tackle, and you have, if you're still using it, the move where you slide across and then go into the wires, the Silk Bind. So you can do those moves to it, but anything else is kind of a gamble. Like anything else is a straight up gamble because you're going to get hit. So
yeah, he's so I actually have not really used the counter yet. I'm still using Adamant Charge Slash, which is like the heavy armor. Yeah, the heavy armor power slash thing, which is I think still really good. And it's so good for positioning and like getting to a monster when it like gets downed. So I haven't really used the counter too much yet. Also mainly because I haven't really had much luck with it. Like I feel like I hit the counter and then I very rarely am able to hit the follow-up.
So I was gonna say it's not consistent. And I think that's the thing that you probably like a lot. You're probably a person that just prefers consistency over highs and lows. Because Greatsword is when True Charge Slash was the only way to play Greatsword, which is World, there's no other way, right? You have to play True Charge Slash. It really does come down to like, well, this hunt ended in 5 minutes, but the next hunt ended in 12 minutes because I just kept missing the True Charge Slash.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by the highs and lows. Greatsword is one of those weapons that when it only had access to True Charge Slash, it was highs and lows like that. The fantastic about this, and since we're talking about Sunbreak and it's on the Switch, and they have this Switch skill swap, right? It's all thematic with the system. I really like the fact that you can just choose, okay, well, this isn't working. Like the counter isn't working.
I do that a lot. So like my main setup right now with Greatsword is basically everything stays the same except the combo, I have the surge combo, which is where he like swings the sword around and he doesn't charge it up until after he does the swing combo. And then that goes in the Rage Slash, which is the omnidirectional heavy armor attack.
Yeah.
But then I have the charged combo, which is traditional greatsword into true charge slash. And then all of the other moves are the same. It's like adamant and power sheath. And it feels so good because I have like this consistent play style and I can like do these really quick combo hits, do Rage Slash. And then when I see different openings or if I see the monsters acting a certain way, I can go to the charge combo. If they get downed, I immediately like switch into the charge combo, hit them with a true charge. Like the fluidity of being able to switch between those two techniques is just like, it feels so damn good.
Yeah, and I think that it was supposed to be designed this way anyway. Like, I don't think that you're supposed to play with just true charge slash and counter. Now, granted, obviously, speedrunners, they're insane, and that's all they're going to do, and they do it well. And that playstyle works for them. But we play with friends, and that playstyle does not work in a multiplayer, I noticed. I tried to do counter and true charge slash, and it just simply doesn't work. Like, the monster is going to hit you first, and you'll counter it, but then they're going to immediately switch their attention to someone else. So they won't be there when you go to land the true charge slash in their head because they're not looking at you anymore. They don't even care. And monsters have jumping attacks. Like Burial straight up jumps away from you, or Nargacuga jumps away from you. So you'll counter the tail slam, and then he'll jump away from you to go to someone else. And it's like, well, now you're nowhere near me. And I just wasted 2 wire bugs. Granted, they do recover fast, but still, I wasted 2 wire bugs doing that, and I got nothing. Like,
I do think that's an interesting point where I think that it's something that I don't feel is talked about, but I think when people talk about the meta of Monster Hunter and like the best skills and the best everything, they always talk about it in the vacuum of single player, and I don't feel as though multiplayer gets considered as often, because I do think like the counter, for example, is a lot less good in multiplayer than it is in single player.
I mean, I know, because I'm a realist, so I like speedrunning by myself. And I'm a very fast hunter, like very efficient, very fast. I used to send my speedruns to our group chat. Like I used to fight Chameleos. I clear Chameleos in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Like then I got it down to 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So I was like, holy shit. That is legitimate speedrun time. Like that is extremely fast. So I was really happy about that. And that's when I started realizing, oh my God, I love light bowgun. But the reason why I really love light bowgun, I don't think I realized it until I guess now, is that in single player and multiplayer, it's exactly the same. It doesn't change. Even so, longsword is close, but still no cigar. And what I mean by that is longsword single player is fantastic because the monster is going to keep attacking you and you're going to keep countering it. That you maintain their aggro. And honestly, you want that with longsword. I want the Tiger X to keep charging me. You're going to keep taking damage for charging me. Whereas when he keeps going for other people, it's kind of confusing to me and a little disorienting when the monster changes their attention. And
it's hard to keep up with them too. Like I think that's what makes Tiger X hard. Because I agree, even though I haven't fought him for as many years as you did, I agree that he's a simple monster.
Yes, he does the same thing constantly.
But what ends up killing you is that you get because you're just fucking chasing him.
You are
because he's running over here, and then so like as you're trying to chase him to get a solid hit, you end up like getting hit with his spin, and then you're like, ah, shit, and then like you get up and he fucking charges you, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's very simple once you realize what he does, but what he does is very strong. And I honestly think that there's this thing when you take a hit from a monster and it takes 90% of your health, it freaks you out. And we see it all the time with our friends. And I usually don't call it out, but I notice it with a lot of people. People get hit by a monster that hits really hard. And for the rest of the fight, they will fight this monster so scared. You will literally see. So I'm the Vanguard. Fraser is the fucking Vanguard. I'm always aggro. You will never see me playing in a defensive way in Monster Hunter. If you ever watch me play with my friends or by myself, I'm not the guy that like runs around the monster from a very far distance. I stay very, very close.
I'm the same way.
I am in the Vanguard. Send me out in the front.
I'm the same way, dude. That's why Basil Goose kills me so much.
So for me, when I'm in the Vanguard against something like Tiger X, I get hit and I take 90% of my health. I get up, I heal, but I heal I heal close to him too. Like I don't believe in walking away from the monster super far away to heal. I think that you're safest the closest to them. Obviously, it's matchup dependent, but most monsters, honestly, being closer to them is probably in your best interest. And it sounds weird, but people just need to try it because when you go far, the developers are smart. They know how people used to do like they know how people used to fight against the monsters. So they've realized people tend to get up and run and then start taking a potion. And the monsters have attacks that are designed specifically for that. In fact, yesterday, I got caught doing just that against Luna Garen. Luna Garen knocked me to the ground. I think I got caught by his Weapon X attack. It's the strongest attack, and if you're a gunner, it just straight kills you. I was using a blade, thank God. So I was using Longsword. He did Weapon X. I got caught by it for the first time as a Blade Master yesterday. And I went to get up and run away from him and drink a potion. And I don't know this monster that well. Like, he's new still to me, even after like 50 hours of gameplay. I still don't know him that well. So he did an attack that I didn't know had a shockwave to it, but he swiped his claws across the ground and a fucking like beam of rocks lifted up out the ground like a shockwave and killed me as I was running away drinking a potion. But what I thought was, I was like, oh, I fought this monster enough with my gun, and he's pretty safe from a far distance where I don't have to worry about drinking a potion from a distance. I didn't even know he had that attack, basically, is what I'm saying. I never even noticed. I never even noticed that the attack wasn't just a swipe. I thought it was just a swipe, and if you're close, you get hit. I didn't know there was a fucking shockwave across the ground that kills you from a distance. Like, I was so far away. If you see it, I think it happened on stream yesterday. I was so far away from him that I literally didn't know I was going to die. And it was just like, oh shit. And it freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, okay, so now I know this is another monster. I'm just going to stay close. I'm going to get up and literally stay nearby and heal, because going far, they do these crazy attacks, these jumping attacks that like cover.
Yeah. You got to like circle them. It's interesting because I wanted to say, so you said the only quest you failed was with other people. So I failed one quest solo, and that was against Magnamalo. But I failed 2 other quests, so 3 quests total. I won't say their names. I'm not going to call anybody out. But Fraser was there for one of them, and he knows the other one. Listen, all right. I was on stream for the one. Yeah. I was on stream for the one, but it was me and my one friend Jolt's on stream, and we were playing, and he never fought. Gore Magala's new to me too. But I had fought Gore Magala right before this, so I knew a little bit of what was to come.
Yeah.
We were fighting Gore Magala, yo. And that fight was so sick. We're fighting him, he fucking envelops the world in darkness and shit, and we're fighting him. And
cool.
And I think Jolt's, I don't know if he had his armor upgraded or whatever, but we're fighting, and he gets beat up a little bit. And then, like, we're at the end. And I was like, all right, just stay alive. Like, we got it. We're going to capture him. And then, like, he went ready to be captured. And then, like, I set the trap down, and then Gore Magala shoots, like, this purple ball that curves.
Yes.
And it curved around the corner and fucking got him and killed him right as we were about to capture him. Shit was so fucking funny. And then the other hunt I failed with one of my other friends. He plays gunner classes, and like the monsters just hit hard, and like you'd be at full health and like, well, you're dead.
Yeah, it's like I said, so I think me and you spoke about this earlier when we were talking about the difficulty of the game, but in the early stages, it is pretty easy, right? Like the Great Azuchis are still Great Azuchis, the Kizus are still Kizus or Kezu, however you want to say it. Daimyo Harmatara is still whatever, Puke is still whatever, right? There's a lot of monsters that no matter what they do to them, for the most part, they are still fine. You can just beat up on them at will. And even if you get hit, you just get up, you heal, you wire recovery, you heal. You won't get punished for wire recovering against these monsters. But I guess when I was talking about the difficulty, I want to specify, it's shit like that. Gore Magala, Soregios, the new Rathalos, these monsters are way harder now. Like even Gossarag. I've been fighting Gossarag, and he's been...
Yeah, Gossarag's harder. Gossarag's harder.
Bro, do you know the move that he does, his Weapon X, where he just slides forward really fast, and he has claws already? He just, he forms them.
He's definitely harder. He's another monster I fought a lot in base Rise, and he's harder.
Same. I fought him so much, Kenny.
He's definitely harder. I felt that he was harder.
Nagakuga to me is harder, too. Maybe it's just my experience, but...
I've only hunted him like twice so far, and he felt kind of the same.
Okay, so
but I'm not. I have to hunt him more.
Fight him a little bit more. Fight him a little bit more.
I don't even know what his new move is now that I think about it.
So that's what I was going to say. You would know what I'm talking about. The new move is so bullshit. It is such bullshit, Kenny. I can't wait till you find it. You're going to tell me like, oh yeah, I fought the new Nagakuga, and it's actually ignorant. It's super ignorant.
You know there's a couple. All right, so Soregios is a fucking Tiger X that can fly.
Yes.
He is so hyperactive. Like, that motherfucker, he is so fucking hyperactive, all right? I'm fighting him, and he's just like, and he's just like, I'm like, what? Can he relax?
Yeah, he doesn't chill. You're right about that. He's hyper. He definitely is Tiger X of the sky. He also hits like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
Sergio's, I don't know, something about the way he looks. It doesn't look like he would hit as hard as he does. But when you get caught by one of his kicks, like he does these crazy moves where he slide kicks you from the air.
Yeah.
He does. I call it dynamic entry, like Mike Guy.
He dynamic entries.
He does dynamic entry, but the amount of damage it takes, even now, again, I'm wearing endgame armor, right? Like completely endgame, and I'm taking so much damage. And then I also get inflicted with bleed, like, you know, not blood blight, but bleed. And it just scares the fuck. He always had bleed, but it just scares the fuck out of me how much damage he does, even when I'm wearing defense that's like 655, 717. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
These monsters hit so hard.
It messes you up. It's really cool. I like a lot of them. Espionas is really cool. He's an interesting fight. He's one of those monsters where his whole body is just like a terrible spot to hit until he enrages.
Yep.
Like fighting him, like I remember trying to cut his tail off. I was like, oh my god, this is taking forever because like his tail
white damage.
It's just white damage. It's terrible.
So we could talk about that a little bit. One of the reasons why I think Shogun Sanitar is also bullshit is because a lot of his body is white damage, aka not good damage. So if you know people who are listening to this, I'm assuming that you play Monster Hunter or know of Monster Hunter in some way. And in Rise and World, you know, if you're doing poor damage, it will show up as white. And if you're doing good damage, it will show up as like an orangish color, blatantly bolded and everything. So you know, like, this
is like yellow.
Yeah, there's a color to it that lets you know this is what you want to be doing, right? And Shogun Sanitar pretty much doesn't have a spot outside of his head, which is not, I'll just say, it's not easy at all to hit that fucking spot without also taking it. So if you want to play that play style against him and go to his weak spot, you can, but you are risking it because it's very difficult to deal with his aggro in the middle of his claws. It's hard to get to his
head because like it's inside his
yes,
it's like
he holds his claws like this. He naturally holds them like this, like kind of blocking his face. It's weird.
Yeah, him and the other crab, and it's another problem with problem not as a bad thing as like,
yes, as a good thing for difficulty.
It's another problem with like Rachna Kadaki is she's so frustrating to hit her head because she has these giant mandibles in front of her head that are like really hard spots to hit through. So
do you know that they changed her hit zones because of how bad they were in Rise? They made it where she has better hit zones now for us as hunting her. That blatantly, it's on the notes, like the patch notes. Rachna Kadaki hit zones updated to make her more like, I forget exactly how they worded it, but it was one of those things that says like Rachna Kadaki. Yeah, that's how bad her hit zones used to be. Because
I used to only hit her. I mean, even when I fought her now, I hit her ass.
Yeah, because like we know it's a good spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they updated her hit zone so that way she takes better damage in more places. And
yeah,
I don't know. I used to always complain about her when we play Rise. I used to say this monster has way too much HP, but that wasn't the case. It was just the fact that her hit zones were so bad that it extended her life.
Yeah.
So, Espionas, though, like you said, that monster is from Frontier. First monster ever in a main series Monster Hunter game from Frontier. Really cool that they're doing that. But also, yes, until he's enraged, all your damage is ass. And then when he is enraged, I didn't know this because I know nothing. This is a territory that I know nothing about. Sick. I know nothing about this monster. This is my first time ever seeing or fighting this monster. Only thing I knew about it before.
Cool. I like him a lot.
Same. The only thing I knew about him before was that he sleeps at the start of all hunts in Frontier. My friends used to tell me about that, and I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But I never got to like see him fight fully and all that stuff. Anyway, when I was fighting him, you know, the game has not even been out for a week, but I've been playing. I literally have over 50 hours. I feel like now. So I literally got hit one time as a gunner when he does his charge attack. Now Raytheon and Rathalos and Tigrex and so many monsters have a move where they literally just charge at you and hit you. And they hit decently, but you're left with a good amount of health. Sometimes you don't even have to heal after those moves. You just take it. Especially like Raytheons or whatever. Like her running at you, she does like 3 times. You could take that shit, even in Master Rank, and you'll be fine. I got hit by Espionas running at me, and I thought, this isn't too bad. I'll just keep shooting him, and I'll just take the hit. And I died. And I was at full health. And I was like, holy shit. What is it about his run that makes it where it needs to do that? Like, I just wasn't ready. Like, did you experience his run being really, like, strong?
His run's really strong, but what I thought you were going to say, and this is probably my favorite part about the monster, is, first of all, his fire looks cool, because they say that, like, his fire is mixed with poison and stuff, and he's, like, got a lot of venom. They call him, like, I forget what his title was, but it was, like, something like the sleeping venom or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, something really cool.
But So he's got like all this poison, and when you see his fireball, it's like orange and red, yellow, like a fireball, but there's also like this purpley blackness to it as well, like
Yes.
for the poison. So anyway, his fireball looks cool. So I got hit by his fireball, right? I get hit by it, and like I'm like burning. I'm on fire, where you have to roll 3 times to like stop taking burn damage. I'm also poisoned, so his fireball burns and poisons you. I was like, man, that's effed up. But that's not all. It paralyzes you.
Yep.
I got hit by his fireball, and my guy's shaking on the ground like, ugh, because he's
So
paralyzed while being burned and poisoned. I was like, yo!
I've died to Espionage twice already. And one time was the gunner thing where gunners can't take a single hit from that monster when he's enraged. Like if he hits me and I'm using my gun with his run, I'm dead. I just full disclosure, it one hit kills gunners. The fireball, I got hit by that, and I forget if I was a blade master or a gunner. I feel like I was a gunner though, because I like gunning that monster in particular. But I remember getting hit by the fireball, and I saw my life go extremely low, and I saw the poison, I saw the fire, and I already knew that was a thing. I forgot about the paralysis. So when I started automatically trying to do rolls to get the fire off, and then I switched to herbal medicine. As I'm doing that though, I'm noticing my character is not rolling. And when I fought him, it was in the jungle. It was specifically Area 3. Area 3 is the beach, but there's a lot of trees and foliage around. So when I fell on the ground from the paralysis, I didn't notice that my character was like kind of hidden on the ground in foliage. And I'm button mashing. I'm also going through herbal medicines, like, because I have it all set up. I'm looking for herbal medicine. I'm trying to roll at the same time to get the fire off. And my character's not doing anything. And I look at the screen a little close, like I squint, and I realize that my character is on the ground and Espionage is looking at me now.
Yeah.
And he just runs at me and then I die. And I was like, yo, that was bullshit. Like I was basically already going to die.
Yep.
But that, I was like, yo, there was no chance I could have survived that. There was no world where I survived all of that.
There was one time I carded when it was against a Rathalos, and this is the Rathalos classic, really. But I got hit with like his talons, and so I was poisoned. And then like I was trying to get up and heal, and then like he fireballed me, and I ended up hitting like the wall. And I did like my guy did like a wall bounce.
Yep.
He like hit the wall bounce, and then he landed. So now I'm poisoned and burning. But then he landed in the part of the lava caverns where like if you're standing in it, you take damage. So I was just like trying to get up, and like my guy got up, pulled a potion out, and then died. Like, I was just like,
so I like that this is a Capcom game, and Capcom made Street Fighter, and in Street Fighter, there's wall bounces. When you get hit really hard, sometimes you fucking bounce off a wall. And I just thought it was cool that they included that in Monster Hunter, because I know exactly what you're talking about. There's times where your character will get hit by something. They'll hit up against the wall, and they'll fall down, and they won't let you Y recover either.
Yeah, you're like, boom, you like kind of, it fucks you up.
Granted, you can't be hit immediately while that's happening. Like, they make you suffer through the entire animation. But it's kind of cool that that type of thing is just in the game. I really like it.
But if you land in a spot like I landed, where I land in a spot where you take damage over time, and you're also poisoned and burned, you're like, oh god.
And that's what my gripe was about the Espionage thing. I was like, wait a second, I was going to die anyway. Like, the paralysis was so gratuitous. You didn't even have to do all that. You didn't have to do all of that. So I really, I really enjoyed this game.
The game's really fun. This was before Sunbreak came out, but I remember one time we were hunting. This is like not right before, but this is like a week before Sunbreak came out. We did a hunt, and we fought a Barrioth, and I died because he hit me, and I didn't have any wire bugs when he hit me. And so like I had to get up slowly. As I'm getting up, he shoots his ice tornado.
Oh my god.
So the ice tornado is on top of my body. And like I have no wire bugs, and the ice tornado is just there, and so like my guy just stands up in the ice tornado and dies.
So when that happened to you, at that same exact time, I was charging my greatsword with Rage Slash, and I was in the tornado, and I said, "Yo, that looks cool as shit." Because my character, this is when the screen shake was on too. My character was charging up Rage Slash in the fucking eye of the tornado. And it looked like I was doing it. It looked so fucking cool.
That shit is hype.
Oh man,
Rage Slash is so fun. You get some cool ass moments with Rage Slash.
Yeah, because I like taking damage. It's the one time I'm like, yes, hit me. Even with a small attack, hit me.
Yes,
Anything.
Oh man, the game's really fun. I'm not done the story yet. I think I'm close to the end of the story of it.
You beat Malzeno, so
I beat Malzeno, so I feel like I have to be in like the end of it. The urgent that I'm on is Shagaru Magala.
Yeah.
That's the urgent that I have up next, and I'm really excited to get through the story of it, see what the final boss is, and I'm also just really hoping that. I mean, I think there will be because on their tree, I'm hoping that I get to fight Narwa and Ibushi again because I just want to fight a better version of them. But it looks like they have more weapons, so I'm assuming I will.
Oh yeah, the weapon tree kind of blatantly tells you that, doesn't it?
The weapon tree kind of like spoils it, right? But
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fine. I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
Yeah,
That
no.
said,
Yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. This is every monster in the game is pretty much the same as far as that goes. Like the weapon tree is always going to show you like
yeah, which is cool.
this upgrade, so something is coming.
I'm happy to see that there is going to be another Narwa and Ibushi fight. The only thing I don't know about, and honestly, if you know, you can just tell me. Because I know the Rampagers are gone, but do we get Master Rank Apex fights? Because I still want to fight Apex Rathalos. Like, he's a cool fucking monster.
So you mean the Apexes that were in Rise?
Yeah.
No, not that I know of. As far as
I
I know,
hope they get at it in like a title update as like a.
yeah, I'm
I
on
do
Master
because
Rank. Go ahead.
because Apex Diablos, they had new. They had new moves. Like they had moves that regular Rathalos doesn't do.
Yeah,
Where regular Diablos doesn't do.
and they're
Like
really cool moves too.
the Apex Diablos, from what I've heard, is based off of like Bloodbath Diablos, where he does a roar and then immediately after roaring he charges you. Like he doesn't give you time to wait. Like he roars and immediately charges you. And Apex Diablos does that, and that's a cool fucking move. But
Yeah, and Apex Rathalos
anyway,
is based off of Dread King Rathalos, and he does like those crazy fireballs.
yeah.
So I'm on Master Rank like 65 or something, let's say, because I'm on my way to 70. And there's still, I forgot about the Apexes actually until you just said that. I completely forgot about them.
Yeah.
Like
I really
Zenogar
hope
and everything. They might be in the game, but maybe what might happen. And here's my, I had this gripe with Rise is Apexes. I don't like that they don't have their own armor.
don't have armor, which is that's one of my biggest hopes was that in Sunbreak, even though they're not bringing back Rampages, whatever, those Apex fights are still their own fights on their own. So I was really hoping like we'd get to fight Apex Rathalos in Master Rank, and they would finally give him armor. And
I'm just gonna say this. I hope that if they do bring them back, that we at least have armor specific to these Apex monsters, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no incentive to fight them if they don't have armor. I don't want to carve one part of like, oh, Diablo's Hardhorn or Apex Hardhorn or whatever. I don't want to just get this one piece that just does this one niche thing in the entire game, and the entire fight outside of that is just kind of regular Diablo's parts and stuff. That just seems like a waste to me. I'm kind of tired of that. So I think I forgot about them because to me that was one of the worst parts of Rise is the Apexes just they were cool in Rampages, but then it got to the point where we were fighting them outside of Rampages, and I got excited thinking, oh, I'm fighting this monster outside of a Rampage. He must have armor and weapons now. Because that happened with a title update. There was like not a title update, but that happened with an update.
Yeah, they added.
And I was excited for that, and nothing came of it. It was like, oh, you can just fight this outside of a Rampage, so you can just get to it faster, right? Like you're just fighting the monster faster, I guess.
It sucks because at the end of the day, right? It's fun fight. The game's fun, so it is fun fighting the monsters. But it also sucks because, like, for example, Apex Arzuros, right? All of Arzuros's parts, like he gives you all regular Arzuros parts, except for like his one Apex part.
Yeah, I know.
What's frustrating about that is that Arzuros's parts can't even be used in melding.
Yes.
So there's no fucking point. Like, if I fight Apex, if I just fight a Rathalos, if I made all the Rathalos armor and all of his weapons, it's still fun fighting Rathalos in general, and it's not a waste because all of Rathalos' parts I can use in melding.
Right.
But, like, Apex Arzuros, there's no reason to fucking fight him ever because there's nothing I get. There's no armor, there's no weapon, nothing. Like, it's just... But it's frustrating because it is a cool fight, and I want to fight him, but it feels pointless to fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. For me, my incentive to fight monsters is directly linked to getting something from them. Like the quest clear screen is a dopamine rush for me. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I clear a quest and I get to that end screen and I see everything. If people were watching me play that first night, when I would get to my end screen, I actually was just staring at the parts. On every monster I beat, I would read every single one. I was like, oh wow, cool. Arzuro's fur, right? Like I'm actually reading. I don't know why, but I just enjoyed seeing the new parts and just taking that in.
That shit's cool, man.
I was
like
slowly
that too.
going like, oh, hard monster bone and all. Like I was just slowly going through every little thing I got. Sovereign Jewel, like, oh, what's that? And just that for me is like an entire rush in itself. And so once you do an Apex and you realize that they're all the same in the sense that you get to the rewards, and the rewards are the basic part of the monsters, and then you just get this one new thing. It just, I don't know. It didn't.
Even if they
sit well with
wanted
me.
to keep it that way, which would be annoying, even if they wanted to keep it that way, I'd be fine. Like, I'm just going to use Rathalos as the example. Let's say it's all of Rathalos parts, but there's like the one Apex Blaze Sack is what I think it was called.
Yeah, it was called that.
Give us Apex Rathalos armor and just make the armor take all regular Rathalos parts, but every single piece takes like the Apex Blaze Sack.
Yes.
So it's like
that would be cool.
You need 5 Apex Blaze Sacks, and then the rest are just Rathalos pieces.
So
and
here's the
Apex Rathalos armor.
Here's the other reason why that whole thing about them not including armor and weapons is stupid and a little lazy. In Monster Hunter 4U, the one that's on 3DS, one of the two that's on 3DS, that game, the Apex monsters, well, they were at that time they were just called variants. Those monsters all had armor. Like Dread King Rathalos, Dread Queen Raytheon, like Thunder Lord Zenogre, they all had armor. And their armor was overtuned. Dread King Rathalos is all I wore in 4U. Once I got that armor, I was like, holy shit, this is broken. It had like weakness exploit, attack boost, large at the time, which is basically attack boost 7. It had earplugs, so you couldn't hear anything. It had windproof, so you couldn't feel anything. And it had like more stuff too. It had no slots though. That was the thing. Those armors had no slots, but they were overtuned as fuck. And it had this secret ability that the game didn't even tell you about, but you were the unburnt, like Daenerys Targaryen. If ever you got hit by a fireball or anything, you just literally could never be burnt.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird because, like, they didn't give us any, like, variant armors. Now, in Sunbreak, we have, like, Blood Orange Bishaten or Magma Almudron and, the various variants that we have, Somnicant, and they all have their own armors, thank God.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
So, I don't know, I just really hope that in an update, if it's not already in the game, like maybe it's fucking Master Rank 100 and Fraser's not there yet.
Yeah, they could totally be in the game, and I'm just not far enough, and that's cool.
If it's not, I really hope they add the Apex fights back in, because at the end of the day, Apex Diablos, for example, has really cool mechanics. And he's a cool
they're a different fight. They don't feel like fighting the Diablos and that Diablos are different.
Yeah, so I want to fight a Master Rank version of that Diablos, but I also want to get Apex Diablos like black armor with like these red scars in it or something. Like that would be sick.
Speaking of armor, one of the cool things is that Kennedy actually didn't know that they would actually change the physical appearance of all of the armors.
Yeah, because low rank and high rank armor looks the same. So I just kind of assumed that Master Rank armor would look the same but just be better. So I was really hyped to see that they look. Now some monsters, like I think Lagambi's armor is exactly the same, for example.
They didn't even bother.
But a lot of the monsters' armor is different, like Rathalos, Diablos. Like, for example, I think low-high rank Tiger X's armor looks so corny. It's so trash looking. It's not interesting or cool looking at all. But Master Rank Tiger X armor is so sick. He just looks like a villain in Yu Hakusho or something. Like he looks really cool. So I really like the Master Rank armors and that the fact that they look different. It also adds a lot of cool options when you get layered armor, because now you can, like, let's say you just want to wear like a full Rathalos look, but you can still even mix and match it with like Master Rank Rathalos arms, but like high rank Rathalos helmet, or you know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Even
you can mix
like
and match the high rank and G rank. You did the same thing in Iceborne too. You would layer like certain parts of the G rank I just didn't like for some of the layered armor, so I would mix and match where I liked certain things at, and that is something that's really cool about it, that they redesigned every armor that's relevant for G rank. So Mizetsune's like G rank armor looks really cool to me. Like you said, everything with a cape. So Tiger X, the Damascus, of course.
The capes look sick.
Right now, my character literally looks like a Marine Admiral from One Piece.
I can't wait to get that.
I have that jacket, the Marine jacket with the sleeves hanging off, and when you like when I charge Greatsword and my jacket is like fucking flying behind me, it just like Monster Hunter is so cool, man. I just feel so fucking anime when I'm playing it.
It's really fun. I mean, you're fighting a giant like once again, like you're fighting a giant monster, and you're like this little guy. I mean, you're broken. You're unfair as well, but
I always say that we're the real monsters.
We are. It's cool. I really like a lot of what they added, all the armors, and the armors are fucking overtuned, like even from the gate. Like I was like, yo, these like, Master Rank armors are wild.
Start the game off.
Yes. That was the first armor piece I made. Velociprey arms, I was like, yo, these are good.
Yeah. And some of the armors, They kept the skills exactly the same, but what they did was give them more slots.
Yeah, more slots, or they gave them like one extra little comfort skill.
Yep. So I thought that
Um,
that was cool to me because some of the things were already overtuned. For example, Teostra's helmet.
yeah, so I
It's
don't know
already
what it's going to
overtuned.
do because I haven't fought Teostra's yet, but Teostra's helmet was already
It was
too good.
already overtuned.
So I can't wait to see what it does. I'm sure it's not going to do much more because I see the balancing of what they did with the other pieces. They probably just give it something a little extra, but it was already amazing.
It was already
so,
overtuned. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing. It's like this is an overtuned piece of armor. We're not about to give you guys like, oh, it had 3 crit eye and crit boost. We're not about to give you guys 3 crit eye and 3 crit boost. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, that's what I want.
It's already an overtuned piece of armor. So like stuff like that, they kept those, I feel like, tame. But then certain things I just feel like like Rathalos' waist went from 2 attack boost to 2 attack boost, all of the windproof, and also 1 level of crit boost. I'm like, what the fuck happened to this waist?
Yeah, because Rathalos' waist, it's not that it was unplayable, but there was no reason to ever use it because like Anjanath's waist was super overtuned.
Yes.
And so like in base Rise, honestly, like if you weren't using Valstrax, you were just using like if you weren't using full Valstrax, you were probably using Anjanath's waist.
Yeah.
Like, if it was a mix set, you used Anjanath's waist. But now like there's a lot more playable things where you can mix and match armors and do a lot of different things. Like you said, Rathalos' waist is so fucking good. Like all of the windproof is there, which is just a great extra skill to have.
Yeah.
The attack boost, the crit boost, and then I don't remember what the slots are on it, but the slots are good too. Yeah, so
there's a level 2 slot. So basically it has 2 attack boost and crit boost, which is 3 levels of efficiency as far as good skills go. And then you can add a 4th good skill. So it's just 4 pieces of efficiency in one waist, which is blatantly now a lot better than Adjanath's waist, because Adjanath's waist is just a level 4 slot and 2 level 1 slots, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah, but it still has 2 levels of attack boost.
And that's it though, right?
Yeah, I think there's like some other random skill on there. I don't remember. But it's a 4-1-1. What's cool about Anjanath's waist though, I think that waist is going to be broken again come the updates.
So that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that it's not good right now, but I think it'll be a lot better once the update comes out and we start getting more decorations. Because in Iceborne, there's level 4 decorations that are like attack deco 4.
Once that comes out,
yeah, that'll change Adjanath's waist to being better than Rathalos's again. But right now, Rathalos's waist is just like, for the most part, is strictly better unless you really need to level 1 slots, which a lot of times, like you kind of do sometimes. So if you need grinder or whatever, well, level 1 slots are relevant. But for me, Rathalos's waist has been like crazy. Like Luna Garen's helmet is really, really good. 2 crit eye, 1 wirebug whisperer, 2 level 2 slots. So for me, some people will look at that and say, oh, that's 4 levels of efficiency because they don't count Wirebug Whisperer. But Wirebug Whisperer in Sunbreak is a very relevant skill. And I try to get it on all of my armors as much as I can now because it's nice. So much better than it used to be.
I think Anjanath's waist, just as a side, it's for Greatsword specifically, it's still really good because you can put the level 4 focus deco in it, which is 2 levels of focus. So like, but there's not really any other decos that
I will say this
at the moment.
As far as focus goes, 2 things. Focus is good, but they also made some armors now that are so outrageous that they literally give you all of your focus, all 3 of it, and a real slot on top of it. Like I can see if it was like, oh, this gives you focus 3, but then you don't have like slots, right? Like that would that would be that's fair. In Rise, that would be like, okay, sure. In this game, there's literal pieces of armor that are like focus level 3, another skill, and slots. Blatantly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's kind of scary. Like the armors are so outrageously efficient now, but I shouldn't act surprised because every single Monster Hunter game, every G rank, I loaded up my Monster Hunter 4U data. I still have my collector's edition of Monster Hunter 4U 3DS. And on my game, I have a ton of loadouts because that's just I've always been a guy who played a ton of weapons and a ton of loadouts. I was looking at my loadouts, and when you go to the skills, there's fucking so much shit going on. Like
there's so much shit going on.
Weakness exploit, attack up large, windproof, status attack up, just everything. Like stamina reduction down. There's all these skills, tons of skills.
Man, I'm trying to. I just had something I was going to say about like skills and stuff, and I lost it. It just randomly disappeared on me. I don't remember what it was.
I know that feel.
I dropped it. I dropped the ball on that. But
I have something to say if you don't.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say in a demo I fought Malzeno, and I posted my run on our IMNerd Podcast YouTube page. When I did that run, when I was fighting Malzeno, and it took me a good amount of time to get used to him and like get the hunt done, because they only give you fucking 15 minutes, I think. And that's the real difficulty. Like, he is hard. Do not get me wrong. He hits very hard. But what I thought was, I was like, oh, this is just how it is in a demo. I genuinely thought that he hits hard in the demo, like super hard, because you don't have your own armor. And when I get into the real game and I get my own shit, he's going to hit me and I'll be able to like take a hit. And that is not the case. In the real game, Malzeno is actually still difficult. Like, he still hits very hard. Just like the demo, actually, even with my armor being really high and upgraded to the max and all that good stuff, this motherfucker still hits me for 60 to 70% of my health with every little attack. And then his Blood Blight is extremely annoying. And the flash stepping nonsense. Like that.
Yeah, dude, the teleport is so sick.
It's cool the way he envelops himself in his like claws, his wings. And like Dracula, he does like a Dracula pose. And then you hear the sound of the flash step. It is so epic.
And then he like shoots his tail at it. Like the way he like severs his tail out is so like
sick. It makes this noise too, this very metallic noise, like this cling. You can hear it. He kind of throws his tail at you like it's a sword. It sounds really cool. It reminds me of Glavenus, actually, like a better version of Glavenus. But I think his design is so cool. He's very unique. No other monster I've ever seen teleports on purpose. Back in the old days when we played PSP, when 4 people would be playing, the monsters would teleport all the time because of connection issues. And that shit used to be it used to be hilarious. We would start laughing like, oh my God, he just teleported. It was like, did you see that? It's like, no, he didn't do it on my screen. So that was funny. But now we actually have a monster that blatantly does it. It's built into him. And he has all these moves that he does out of teleport. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of a fighting game character. It's like, what can you do out of teleport? And there's one that I hate in particular. It's the one where he slams. He teleports, he appears above you, and he just slams to the ground. And it's a huge radius. It's a huge circle. It's extremely hard to dodge. If you're in any kind of attack commitment, you are getting hit. The other thing about it that's really annoying is that it does so much fucking damage. And I'm not sure, but I think it also inflicts Blood Blight. So it's a wildly overtuned move for the monsters, which I love. They have overtuned moves themselves. But yes, Malzeno is a great fight. His music is some of the best music I've ever heard in any monster in a game. Literally, I have it playing in my lobbies. Just that shit's just customized BGM. Malzeno beat.
I just remembered what I wanted to say. Something else I like about this game is I like the nods to like them clearly knowing what was good and hearing what the community was saying. For example, they know what armor pieces were overtuned, and like to not go overboard with them, right? Like Anjanath's Waste, for example. Something else I like though, and this is like kind of specific, is I feel like they knew what people were using pieces for. So for example, there's the Skull Head. The Skull Head had in Rise level 3 slot and Fortify, which Fortify is just like if you die, you come back with boosted stats, right? So nobody really used it for that skill. They used it for the level 3 slot that it had. And what I remember seeing online is everybody used it for Handicraft. They all put Handicraft in that level 3 slot. The Skull Mask in Master Rank just has Handicraft on it. And now it has a level 4 slot. But it just has Handicraft on it, which is so, like, why would it, like, there's no reason why it would have that. Except for the fact that, like, they looked at the fact that everybody put Handicraft in this piece of armor, and they just threw it on. They were like, all right, it has Handicraft too.
The other interesting thing is that for Blade Masters, level 3 decorations are not relevant.
They're not. They're really not.
We actually only use level 2s and level 1s. So Handicraft is probably one of the only skills outside of Offensive Guard for very niche weapons though, right? So that's only niche like Gun Lance and Lance. You use Offensive Guard, which is a level 3 deco. Outside of that, it's just Handicraft. So to me, it's like, yes, the devs did put in what it was blatantly used for, but they also put in like the only relevant thing they could.
Yeah. But if I'm correct, they also made it a level 4 slot, which I definitely think
level 4 slot is
the
crazy.
level 4 slot is yeah. So they upgraded from a 3 to a 4, and then like they added Handicraft just on the armor itself, which I thought it was cute.
It's probably gonna get out of hand too, because again, going back to Iceborne, Handicraft gets a level 4 deco, and I forget if it gives 2 or 3 levels, but I think it gives 3 levels though. That shit is wild. That is just a wild time. Like the entire thing with the level 4 decos. I guess they're not going to bring it back. I still don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll make a new type of end game where you can fuse decos together. Because in Iceborne, level 4 decos could be 2 different skills. It could literally be weakness exploit, recovery up, right? Stuff like that. Attack boost plus recovery speed up. So I'm hoping that maybe they will bring that back, but just do it differently. Because in Iceborne, when you did a hunt, you got your decoration at the end of a hunt. They were like randomly given to you at the end of a hunt, and then you made talismans. You could craft any talisman. So you can craft a critical eye level 5 talisman blatantly. And it took a while. It took a lot of shit to make that thing, but you could make that. And that's what your end game was, grinding, making my talisman. But then you had to hunt to get decorations. And depending on what you hunted, depended on the percentage chance of getting certain types of decorations. So like hunting elder dragons gave you a higher chance of getting, let's say, attack deco level 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, like, I really want to see if they bring back the 2 skill decorations is what I'm getting at.
That'd be interesting. I'm not sure. Based on what they have in the current game, I feel as though what they would do is just like the decorations are beefed versions of the skills they already are. So like it'll be a level 4 deco for attack, and it'll just give like 2 points of attack instead of 1 or something.
They had those too though. That's why.
Yeah,
they had both. Yeah. They literally would have attack. They had attack deco that gave you 2 attack, but then he also had a level 4 slot attack deco that would be attack plus flinch free. It would just have flinch free.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be one attack with recovery up, and then you could. Your armor got really, really efficient. You would just end up with all these gratuitous skills, like attack boost decos that had grinder on them. That's broken.
Yeah. That's just really broken. Nice.
Like, it's just like such an efficient piece of armor. Like,
it would be cool too to see like the color of it, like, because like attack boost normal is like a 2 deco, and then like speed sharpening is a 1. So if you could make it like a deco level 3, and it's like red with the red prongs and then like a yellow prong, I don't know, little shit like that I think's cool.
Yeah, that would be dope. I'm just wondering if they're gonna bring those back, because the first thing I thought when I saw the 4 slots, I was like, oh shit, it's back. But then I saw how we make them, and it's completely different, and I was like, oh, I wonder now.
Something that I think they made, one of the ones, I'm sure I still have to unlock more, but I think in general defense decos weren't really used. Like getting defense level 7 wasn't really used. You need like 7 level 1 slots. But they made a level 4 defense jewel that gives 5 levels of defense on just that. And I think that's kind of fucking crazy. Like, that seems like it's probably relevant, especially with how much harder the monsters hit. Like, if you can get 5 levels of defense and a single decoration slot, it's a level 4 deca slot, but like, the fact that it's level 4 but it gives 5 levels of defense is so
the devs are always aware. Like, so they know that there are people like me out there. They know we exist. I will never use defensive skills like that. Like, I'll never use defense boost, right? I even hate having to use evade extender, but like literally, if you can't dodge attacks, like you give me no choice. But as far as like trying to take less damage by saying I'm going to get hit is something that they know certain people like me, and there's a lot of us, we will never ever use it. But it's funny because there's a group of people who love defensive sets, and they have their entire community, and I'm in Facebook groups and stuff, and like people post like what they call immortal builds, and this has been a thing forever. Monster Hunter's always had a group of people who love posting their immortal builds, and people, they get hundreds of comments, they talk about it, and there's all kinds of crazy skills that support like, oh, you literally can't die. In fact, in World, I won't say anything about specifics on what it was, what armor it was and stuff like that, and what it gave, but there was an armor set that you could make that you could leave your controller forever and have your game playing and be in a room with a monster and you can't die. You literally can't die. And there's a YouTube video of the guy just like, I'm going to leave this video running for, let's say, 15 minutes. That should be that's a reasonable amount of time for me not to touch my controller. My character will be standing there and I will not die. So
that's insane.
Tanks are real. And I'm glad that they're blatantly supporting tank meta, because the fact that people want to play like that's fine. Like, people like playing Lance. I look down on Lance users, but that's, do your thing. Enjoy that. Enjoy being a defensive player.
I think it's cool to, have all the different play styles. I also think that I don't even have all the armors yet, but I could see there being a situation where like you have a level 4 slot, and like instead of putting a level 2 deco in there, you can be like, you know what? Maybe I'll just put the defense in there because that's like a shit ton of defense for this one slot, and
Yeah.
it's like, why not?
Yeah,
But
some people will definitely run that.
yeah, it's
I mean, that's a
pretty cool.
very efficient decoration. So
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think Baroth's helmet has a level 4 slot and 2 levels of defense on it, and like 2 levels of attack. So like Baroth's helmet alone could give you defense 7, which
well,
is like kind of cool.
if that's the case, then that okay. So if that's the stuff like that, I feel like it's so outrageously efficient. If you could just do that with one piece of armor, like if one piece of armor could give you attack 2, defense 7, I don't care what.
And it has offensive guard, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I used Baroth, but I used only like the parts that don't have defense, like the I just use it for the offensive guard stuff because his shit is for some reason I don't know what's going on, but Baroth's armor is very overtuned as well. Out of nowhere, I actually spent an hour and a half on stream with my friend Ty, just trying to get him Baroth crest or chain or whatever. I think it's the headpiece. So it's like his crest thing, his headpiece, his crown.
Yeah, you have to
Baroth
like
crown.
actually break the head with a hammer or something.
Yes, and we couldn't do it, but I kept getting them. So I was like, I don't know if it's a glitch. I put on part breaker level 3, and he used stickies and part breaker, and it literally would not break. But I got 5 of them in an hour and a half, and he got 0. And then eventually, after our 6th or 7th hunt, we finally got it. And I kept on. The hunts were taking like a little bit longer because I would go and get a monster, and I would bring it to the thing, and I would get the 10 shinies and all that stuff. And every time he didn't get it, and I would get like 1 or 2 at the end of the quest, I was like, you know what? Let's do it again. Like if somebody needs a part, I'm that kind of person that I'll just keep hunting the monster over and over and over and over until they get it.
If somebody really wants Magnamalo's orb, we'll just fight Magnamalo until they get it.
Whatever. Yeah, like I will literally sit there repetitively because I used to do that on the steps as a kid. So for me, it's just nostalgic to the repetition of Monster Hunter. I think is the best part of it. Like someone asked me recently, did you beat Monster Hunter yet? And I sent back like, yes, but that's not quite how this game works. It'd be the equivalent of saying, did you beat the Elite Four yet? Like, sure, I did, but that's not where Pokemon ends. That should not be where Pokemon ends for you. You shouldn't beat the Elite Four in Pokemon and then turn your game off and say, I beat Pokemon, that's it.
It is interesting because there are different kinds of gamers. There's people that, and I know this happened even in Rise, I remember seeing it on Reddit, but there's people that beat the story mode of Monster Hunter Rise, and they were like, okay, I beat Monster Hunter Rise, and they were done playing the game. And that is wild to me.
Bro, there are people posting screenshots of they're like Hunter doing poses and like their weapons and their equipment. Like, this is what I beat the game with. And it's like, this was a great game. And they're saying that shit in past tense, which is weird to me.
Yeah, like they're done. And I'm like, well, I remember in Base Rise, and it's going to be the same for Sunbreak, I beat the game, and that was like maybe 10% of my total playtime.
Yo, literally now, because you have 600 hours, literally, yes, that is like probably less than 10% of your actual playtime at this point. So it's weird. And this is not a shot at anyone asking, did I beat the game? Because a lot of people, the person who asked me, he does not play Monster Hunter. So he might not know like how it works, but it's a collecting kind of game. It's like Pokemon in the sense that the real point of the game is to catch them all. The real point of the game is to make all the armor sets you want, make all the weapons you want, make all the layered armor you want, make your hunter as cool as possible, and just be badass in your hunts.
Yeah, and that's my goal. Like that collector's energy, it's like beating the game's not enough. Like my favorite weapon's Greatsword. And I did this before Sunbreak. I will do it in Sunbreak. I'm making every Greatsword. I made every Greatsword before Sunbreak came out. I will make every Greatsword in Sunbreak. I'll make every single armor set. I'll make every layered armor. And then ideally I want to make like every hammer too, because that's my secondary weapon. But that's the point. Even though half the Greatswords in fucking Base Rise, 98% of the Greatswords were unplayable and I never used them. I still made them all because like that's the fun of the game. It's like, I'm a Greatsword master. And I want to like fight all these monsters and get the parts and shit.
I was going to speak to that. So Monster Hunter is really, and I guess this is probably the case for every game ever, but in Monster Hunter, everyone who plays it plays for different reasons, right? So there's a community that I consider to be like a little strange, and we just talked about them. The people who beat the game, and by beat the game, they fight the last boss, and then after that, they're done. Like they completely say, okay, that monster's defeated. I watched the ending.
They can't even make his armor yet.
No, and they think they're like, that's the end. Like I did it, and they pay $60 to do that. That's wild. But those people exist. There's a lot of them. Like what Kenny said and what I said, they're not few and far in between. There are tons of people. I could pull up a screenshot right now from Facebook of many people actually posting like, hey, I beat it. The ending was beautiful. I love that. And I'm just like, huh. But then people like Kenny exist who want to collect like every one of a weapon, right? And then there's people like me. So what the fun for me and my center, and I know that my community is also out there, is I like collecting all of the meta sets. Like when you look at my loadouts, when you look at my loadouts from Rise, like now that I'm streaming, people can actually see my setups and stuff. But like I have a page of longswords and they're all like meta builds. And then I have a page of great swords and they're all meta builds. And then I have a page of swords and shields and hunting horns and so forth and so on.
Yeah. So I won't do that for every weapon, but I like in base Rise, I did that for great sword, hammer, sword and shield. And then for hunting horn, I just made like a healing hunting horn. And then long sword, I very specifically, I looked it up. I knew what the meta longswords were, but I really wanted to just use the Kimura's Inheritance longsword.
Yeah.
Like that's the longsword I wanted to use. So there actually is like a legit like Kimura's Inheritance build. And I was like, all right. And I just made that longsword build. Yeah. And I was like, that's my longsword build. I'm hoping it's broken in Sunbreak too. That's going to be my longsword. Whenever I play longsword, I use that sword. But yeah, for greatsword, like I had all that stuff, and I'll have it again. I can't wait. I'm gonna have, hopefully, assuming it's not completely irrelevant, I'm gonna have like actual elemental greatsword loadouts set up.
Yep. You hope that the Kimura stuff is broken, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. What is that? What is that? I don't know. I don't know what Fraser's. I can't tell if Fraser's saying it's terrible or it's way too good. Like, I can't tell.
I can't wait. You're so close.
No, I'm not talking about the normal Kimura stuff. You know there's a specific longsword.
I know it's Fugin's.
Yeah, that longsword.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, when you said Kimura, I just immediately thought, and I was like, oh, okay.
All right. Okay.
That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. That is all I got for you, King.
Well.
But yeah, the game is great. There's a lot to do, and we love doing it. So I am I'm in the end game right now, and for me, so it's interesting. Whereas one guy put the game down, he's posting screenshots. I just started.
Yeah.
For the last 2 days, I have just started playing this game because I beat it, and now I'm at the end game portion, and I'm grinding my master rank so that I can unlock all the quests. So I have every monster playable, and then I'm choosing and picking the armor because I don't build every armor. I just build all of the ones that I need for my meta sets because meta sets are like, I'm such a min-maxer. I love it. The other thing is not decorations, talismans. So I'm at the state where I slowly am starting to feel comfortable melding now because I have a ton of like parts finally. But I was holding all of my parts really close to the chest. Even when I unlocked the new melding, I was like, I still need these pieces because I haven't made the armors that I want yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I was like, I'm not going to meld them away yet until I feel like I'm comfortable enough to say, okay, well, Gossarag, I've made Gossarag's helm, which is his helm is broken. I was like, I made Gossarag's helm. Now I can just like use Gossarag's parts to meld. I feel comfortable doing that now.
I think what I'm probably going to do is like, I'll try to meld, whatever pieces I think I can just meld as soon as I unlock the melding. And then.
Because you can only use master rank stuff. So it's the stuff that you would use to make weapons and armor still. And,
in my head, it's just like, if I meld away all my Royal Ludroth shit, I'll just go kill another. And I'll just go kill him. Like I'll kill Royal Ludroth.
You know what's funny about that? Okay. So yesterday we had to kill a couple of Royal Ludroths because
I just killed like 3 before the podcast today. I just killed like 3 Royal Ludroths because I needed them to bridge into Garangolm.
That's stuff. So Xavier, I told him because his weapon was from high rank, right? And so it had 188 attack, I think. Which is like, for high rank, that's broken. But I literally told him, Garangolm, when you get the Master Rank 3, has 330 attack. Mm-hmm. Which is so much more than one.
And then the slots are just not okay.
Yeah, I was like, I can't express how much stronger this weapon is than everything in Rise completely. Like, you would beat every speed run playing poorly if you went in a high rank with that weapon. And like you would destroy the speedruns with that weapon. So it's just kind of funny that it's just interesting. I think that now that I wonder, so we were wondering about, I guess we weren't wondering, but I noticed that you can't use high rank materials for melding. And now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense because I can kill Narwa in probably a minute now.
Yeah, I mean you could probably kill her super fast. I just wish I wish you could use even low rank materials, as stupid as it is, but they would just be 1 point, like one melding point. You know what I
True.
mean?
At that
Like,
point, we would just keep them.
yeah, yeah,
We know we would just keep them. But I get what
yeah,
you're saying. Your point is that you wish that they just scaled them down. So like this is a low rank piece. It doesn't count for many points. It's just some points. And then high rank is obviously more. And then obviously master rank is a ton. And maybe
yeah.
melding in master rank just takes more like the threshold goes up. So I think in high rank, what was the threshold? Like 100 per meld, let's
You
say.
needed like 100 points per like
Per
one
talisman.
talisman, I
Yeah.
think.
So let's say it's
Yeah,
that, even if we're just making up these numbers, these are arbitrary numbers, but let's say it was 100, maybe at master rank, okay. So instead of taking 100, it takes 200, and points are worth, like low rank is worth very little, of course, and then high rank is worth less than it was. So like Narwa stuff that was worth 75 is now only worth 50.
dude, I'll go even further. You can make it worth fucking 7. You can make you can make it almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I just but the fact that it's an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
The thing that I'm not too mad though that we can't use the old parts, only because like I said this yesterday to you, but I find myself needing to make other weapons from low rank and high rank anyway. So it's a good thing that I have a store of monster parts that I can just, I need to get to this weapon, and I have to start from the low rank version of it. So I can just do that. Now the thing is, so I actually still have to fight high rank Basilgoose because he's one of the newest monsters that come out in Rise, right? Like he's literally, I think, in the last patch or the second to the last patch, one of those. And I don't have a lot of his parts because of that. Like I fought him a couple times, I got what I needed from him, and then that's kind of it. He's not really like the funnest fight for me. So I just didn't fight him that much. So I don't have a lot of his stuff, but I wanted to I already made his longsword. His longsword is crazy. 330 attack, like 20 something blast, white sharpness, and every level of handicraft gives you purple. So I just used 1 handicraft, and then I used 3 protective polish, and I have purple sharp. So I have purple sharpness, 330 attack, blast, and it has negative affinity that I take out with 3 crit eye, and then I put decos in there to give me maximum might level 3 and everything. So at the end of the day, I get like 90% affinity, and it's just such a nice longsword. It is so broken, and blast has been buffed. It does like 200 damage per tick. So there's a lot going on with that. But now I want to make his hunting horn. I think we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Because Xavier uses hunting horn. So we have a hunting horn player in the group now. And it's kind of cool because we were looking through the hunting horns, and I still, outside of the last bosses, maybe, Basilgoose's hunting horn is crack. It had attack up.
Dude.
It had attack up, health regeneration large, and earplugs.
Yep.
And then it also had, of course, white sharpness. Any level of handicraft gave it purple. Any level. And then I think the attack of it was 310, but they always lowered the attack on hunting horns that have the attack up song because they factor that in.
Yeah.
So like if every weapon has 330 for Basilgoose, the hunting horn will always have 310 or 320 because of the attack up song. And then it has, of course, negative affinity again that you can just take out. And then I think it has a slot, maybe not, I forget. But it's a very, very good piece of equipment. And now we already know that Seething Basilgoose is coming out like in a month.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming his weapons are going to be overtuned as fuck as well because he's just a better version of the base monster.
Oh, man. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Seething Bait. I'm excited for even Lucid Nargacuga. I'm excited for the fight because it's a new monster, but, I hope his weapons suck.
Bro, I said this.
I'm a Nargacuga. Just because of Rise, I'm a Nargacuga weapons hater.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get trolled, and I think his weapons are going to be broken as fuck, and they're going to be meta.
Yeah.
And I already said my logic to you, but I think it's because they were blatantly meta, and everyone complained about them in Rise. And I think they were like, oh, you guys didn't like that? Well, here's the same weapons, but Lucid Nargacuga, whatever that means.
Yeah,
Can I ask you?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I ask you what is your favorite monster out of all the new monsters in the game? I think there's like 17 or something. Out of all the new monsters in the game so far, so there's going to be a ton more added with all the title updates every month. But right now, all the monsters that you've hunted so far, like what's your favorite? We got Garangon, we got Lunagaron, we got Malzeno.
You mean specifically the monsters new to the update?
New to the update, not new to Monster Hunter altogether, because that's a different question.
New to the update monsters.
New to Sunbreak, new to Rise.
That's a tough one. Let me think. It's probably the crabs.
Oh my god.
It's probably the crabs.
This guy is insane. All right, well, mine is Malzeno because like why wouldn't it be? But like the crabs are the crabs. Fuck
It's
them
just
crabs, man.
something about it I find to be so funny, but
They are
I don't know.
funny creatures. They're kind of
They're
don't they have,
just
is it me or do they have like a kind of comedy to them?
yeah, they're kind of funny. Like when I fight them, I laugh. Like I enjoy fighting them. They're silly. I like how they like because they're crabs. I like how they walk sideways and like
Yeah.
try to smack you and
Yeah,
shit.
there is a
I don't
level
know.
of actual comedy to the crabs. Like they were designed, I think, to be funny. I mean, granted, that is how actual crabs are. But who the fuck would think that in Monster Hunter you fight giant crabs? Like it's just
Yeah, but for real, I think out of everything I've fought so far, the absolute coolest monster to me is probably Espionage.
okay.
I think Espionage, like in terms of like sheer out of all the new monsters, out of like the one that's the fucking coolest, legit, and not just like crab funny, is probably Espionage. I love his design, his look. Like he looks like if Raytheon and Rathalos had a baby that was way
That's
better than both of them.
that's what I was thinking. He is. I mean, he literally has their properties, and he has that green going, but then he has like the poison spikes. He looks really cool.
Yeah,
I thought.
he's
Go ahead.
sick. He just looks like vicious. He's sick. I love the fact that his fire looks a little different and like his fire poisons and paralyzes you. He's a hard fight. He's cool. I like the lore around him. Like I like the little intro cutscenes, and I like that every time we start a hunt, he's sleeping and like he's just a fucked up monster. He's
He's
a
also
monster that
muscular.
monsters are scared of.
You
He's
notice
what?
that he's muscular.
Yeah.
You notice that he's more diesel than when you look at the skeleton, the body of Rathalos and Raytheon, right? They're pretty slender compared to how
Mhm.
thick he's a thick boy. Like he has some meat on his
He
bones.
he does, he does. So he's probably like if I really look at all the monsters so far, and the one that just I think's the coolest, like design wise, and like the things I really like, I think Espionage the most, which is a shame because his armor is by far the
So
worst
I was
looking.
gonna say he is probably the worst armor out of every single monster in the entire game.
Yeah, I
I
hate
don't
his
think there's a
armor.
monster in the entire. I will wear probably anything else before I wear his armor. Is that bad looking?
Yeah, I don't like his armor at all.
It has a cool skill though. Foray is really cool, and yeah, I mean, I really like Espionage as well. My favorite monster in this game is really close between Gormagala and Malzeno.
Hmm.
Now, I think cinematically, Gormagala takes it. Like that fight,
Gormagala is so fun. When he
cinematic,
turns the whole fucking world purple, oh
bro.
my
He's
god.
been doing that since 3DS. Which now that I think about how crazy that was back in the day, like on 3DS, he was turning the world fucking dark. And you
Mm,
visually saw that happening. Like he would do it in a gigantic open field. There was that one map. It was the main map, kind of like the Shrine Ruins is like what I would consider the main map of Rise.
yeah, yeah.
He would do this move in the main map of For You, and just you would just see all of that darkness coming out, and it would remain dark while you fought him until you broke his horns, and he would do that crazy dramatic ass backflip he does. And when he comes out of his mode, he's so dramatic. He's like Batman. But it's so Malzeno is number one for me though, because I guess part of it is I've never seen this monster before. This is a new monster, right?
Mhm.
I've already fought Gore. I know everything about Gore. I know Shagaru and everything. And they're pretty much the same as they were in For You with just graphical increases. Like they just look better. But they fight the same. They have all the same attacks. Like all of that blast, what he shoots and like pow, pow, pow. He does all of that. All of his moves are the same, even the one where he lifts up and slams on the ground real hard. Literally, I was trying to see if he had a new move. He might have one, but honestly, it's the same exact monster. And that's not a bad thing. I'm very glad that he's in the game. Cinematically, he looks cool, but Malzeno, the teleporting is too much for me. Like, I can't get over the fact that when I first fought that thing and he went enraged, first of all, the way he goes enraged looks cool as shit, too. He kind of stands on his hind legs
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
lifts his wings up like a bat, like a vampire. And he just like yells really loud and makes sure hunters bow to him. And then he immediately, you hear that fucking sound of the teleport, like boom. He just flashed up to wherever you are and does one of like 6 attacks. I love it. I love his moves so much. And I always say this in every monster Hunter game that comes out, every new one. The newest monsters have the like when it comes to attacks and how they're designed, they're always so much better than like let's say Rathalos. Rathalos has had the same attacks for so long. He's had the
Yeah,
kick,
yeah.
the fireball, the run, the tail whip. And those are his attacks. I think I just named literally all of them. And then they gave him like the new Field of Fire Dracarys thing now. I love it. I think this is the first time he ever did that. That attack is crazy.
Which one?
Dracarys, the one where he like flies past and shoots fire.
Oh yeah, that move's cool. I really like. I don't know if it's probably an old move, but I love when he goes up in the air and he shoots fire down at the ground for a second, and then boom, and so like throws it. I love that move.
That is new to Rise, but that was in Rise. But yes, that move is really sick. The move where he breathes the fire on the ground and makes a laser out of it and flings it at you. That move is that move is very sick. And when I first saw that shit in Rise, I was like, yo. But yes, Malzenos, you could tell his design with all his moves. First of all, I feel like he has more moves than most monsters. That's the first thing. I named.
That's what always happens with, like, for example, Magnamalo. Magnamalo is my favorite Rise monster. And yes, cover monster. But he's just like fucking cool. The amount of shit that he does, like, he feels like he has more moves than
he does.
Tiger X.
He blatantly Diablos. Think about Diablos, for example. How many things does Diablos actually do?
Yeah, he spins, he slams his head into the ground, and he runs. You know what I mean? Like,
you just designed Diablos. You literally you're on the dev team. You're on the fucking dev team. You named all of his moves. Named all of his moves. You don't have to name all his moves like that. But yes,
that's what I do.
Yeah, but yeah, so Magnamalo is insane because he has like 20 attacks, and Malzeno has, I think, also legit upwards of 20 different attacks. Like, sometimes when I fight him, he does a move that I'm like, I forgot he does that. There's this move that he does where he kind of curls his body up, and you hear the sound of something coming, that you know that sound he makes, and it's like a tail whip, but it swings around the entire stage. Like, his tail literally 360s. He kind of swings it completely around.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was like, what the fuck is that? When did he start doing it? I completely forgot that was a move. I've seen it before, but I just forgot that he could do that. So yeah, he has a lot of cool attacks. I like
Malzeno a lot. I like all the three lords. Right now, my armor is, and I actually am super hyped for it. It makes me hyped. But my armor that I'm wearing is like, of the three lords, I'm wearing Malzeno's chest and waist. I have Garen Golem's arms. I have Lunagaren's head, and I'm also using Garen Golem's weapon. And then I have like the Hunter's legs.
Yeah, because they're ridiculous.
But it's cool because it's like my Hunter's wearing like the armor of all three of the lords, and
yes,
it's actually a really good set. Like, I'm sure by end game, it's like it won't be like, it'll have to be replaced. But legit, what it is now is really fucking good.
Yeah, I think in G rank, because of how many skills we can fit on our armor, you can get away with making armor sets that are like comfortable for you, and they actually are efficient at the same time. Before, you would sacrifice for that stuff. I don't think you're sacrificing anymore, because Malzeno's armor has 2 levels of Part Breaker and 3 Blood Right with just wearing those 2 pieces.
Yeah, those 2 pieces,
and
3
slots.
Blood Right, 2 Part Breaker, slots, attack boost, and crit boost.
So like, that is efficient, period. Like,
well,
that
not
is just
crit boost, Wex.
Yeah, I know what you meant. But that is efficient by itself. Like, that, you're not sacrificing anything by playing that. It's actually genuinely good. And you're not playing it because it's meta. You're playing because it's cool as shit.
I'm playing it because it's cool. As soon as I read what it did, I was like, oh my god, that's cool. I have to make it. And then I got into the idea of like, oh, I think it'd be really cool to wear like the armor of all 3 lords. Yeah. And so like, Garen Golem's arms are super. I play Greatsword. It has 2 levels of focus and 2 level 2 slots. It's like, well, okay, sure.
Yeah. Crazy.
So Garen Golem's arms, and I think it's 2 level 2 slots and maybe a level 1 slot.
Yeah, because he's all about slots. His weapons have a ton. Yeah,
he's got a lot of slots, and then like Lunagaren's head. So it's really cool. That's something I really like, is that I do think, even if it's not all the way on par with the meta, I think you can very comfortably and easily, very competitive sets that are going to be fine-tuned to a thing. Like, I've, since the game came out, have wanted to make a Hellfire set, like a Magnamalo Hellfire.
Yeah.
But there was no way to really make that work in base Rise. Like, it kind of just sucked. But I hope I can, do that now without sacrificing too much.
Yeah, because you'll have so many more slots now, I'm assuming, on his armor and stuff. Like, I haven't really looked into it too much. But the other thing I was going to say is that the single best armor in the entire game is Malzeno's. Like, if someone said to you, you can only wear this armor, you can only wear 1 armor in the entire game. Like, you have to put in all 5 pieces of it, though. He has the best armor in the game as far as just wearing all of it. Like, if you just put on all of the pieces, it has Part Breaker, Blood Right, I think attack boost 7. Like
I don't think it's attack boost 7. I think it's attack boost 4 or 5.
okay, it's something crazy
But
though.
it's still
Like
good.
he
Like it
yeah,
still has slots, so
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna open my Switch right now because I don't remember the skills, but I want to like quote exactly what it has because I just
yeah.
remember looking at his armor is simply amazing, and I was like, this is like if it's kind of like it's kind of like Valstrax, where it was basically the best armor in all of Rise. Like, it's just the best
Yeah.
armor. Like, it's if you had to wear one armor, it's just that. So it has 3 weakness exploit, 3 wide bug whisperer, 3 blood right, 2 part breaker, 4 attack boost, 3 blight resistance. So off the bat, you can never be blighted. You have 4 attack boost, which is crazy. You only need to put 1 part breaker in there. You have 3 part level 3 part breaker, which is really really good. And then on top of that, the helmet has 2 level 2 slots. The chest has a level 2 and a level 1 slot. The arms have a level 4 slot. The waist has 2 level 1 slots. And then the legs have a level 4 and 2 level 1 slots. So it has a ton of slots, and it already just comes with these crazy ass skills. It's very, very good.
Something I really like about Sunbreak is that I feel as though a lot of the sets, the full set instead of going mix set, although they aren't super optimal because obviously like mixing and matching the perfect thing is optimal. I feel as though if you want to wear full sets, you can really do it in a strong way. For example, Malzeno, as you just said, his set as itself is really good and it's got the slots to like fit in the rest that you need, and you can just be like, okay, I'm playing full Malzeno. But like
Yes.
we talked about this off stream, Rathalos's armor. Like Rathalos's full armor, like you can wear Rathalos's full set. You'll have 3 part breaker, 7 attack boost.
That's the one that has 7 attack boost.
Yeah, 7 attack boost, 3 part breaker. You'll have windproof. You'll have, I think, 3 or 4 levels of earplugs.
5 levels of earplugs.
5 levels. You get 5 levels of earplugs. Like, so you're not getting. So here's the thing that's interesting. Earplugs is like a skill that you rarely can fit in because like it's kind of hard to fit it in.
Yeah.
But if you have 5 levels of earplugs, you don't get stopped. Like the monster never stops you. So
Yeah.
that increases your DPS because you don't ever stop moving.
Yes,
So like
there's no
maybe you
point
miss
where you
out
stop.
on full crit boost or something, but he even has crit boost in his armor too. But
Yeah,
like
now
maybe
he
you
has
miss
crit
out
boost.
on.
Where did he get that from?
I don't know. I don't know where he got that from. My point is maybe you'll miss out on some offensive skill. Maybe you won't have 100% crit rate, but like you'll have more uptime on your damage because you have
Yeah.
like earplugs and windproof and all this other shit, and you've got room to like make that full set work.
This armor is actually crazy. Radlo's armor is very good.
Yeah, it really is.
It's very good. Yeah, so there's like full armor sets that you can wear for people who are old school Monster Hunter people that like to wear the full armor set to get the skills. That's pretty much what you had to do. I mean, you could always do mixed sets, of course, but in the old days, people just wore an entire monster set, and people kind of identified with like, oh, I use Azure Rathalos. That's what I wear. Like his, I just wear his armor. So that's like kind of what people used to do back in the day. But now, and my friend Dennis, who plays now, he hasn't played Monster Hunter in a very long time. He used to play as a kid, but now he got back into Rise. So we've been playing the last month to catch him up for Sunbreak. And I had to kind of get him out of the mindset of, I want to make this armor. And I would say, what do you mean you want to make the armor? Like, you only need to make the parts that are good. You don't have to make the entire thing.
Yeah.
Because before, skills didn't even activate until you wore the entire armor.
Yeah.
So like his mindset was, oh, if I want these skills, I have to wear all of it. And he didn't realize that if you just wear the arms, you actually get those 2 crit eye. Like those arms give you those 2 crit eye. You don't have to wear 5 pieces to get the crit eye to activate. That's how it used to be. Much better system since World. World just changed the game. It just changed the game. So
yeah, I think like the old system, like for example in GU, and even then I think GU is probably the most updated version of that system.
Yeah.
Like it's still a cool system, but I do think World and Rise's system is so much. It just feels better. It just because it sucks. Like in GU, for example, you wear an armor piece that has attack boost on it, but it actually just doesn't. It doesn't have attack boost until you wear like some other armor set to give it enough attack boost to have attack boost.
It has to get to level 10s and the skill points. This was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, what it did was it kind of stymied creativity. And what they did was they unlocked creativity by making it where you could just wear 5 different armor pieces.
Yeah.
So,
which is a lot of fun.
One of the things that I kind of wish, this is from World still has the best armor system. So World is the same armor system as Rise with just one added thing. And the added thing is set bonuses. That shit is crack. So if you just wore 2 pieces of Lunastra, you guarantee your stamina was just your stamina bar was doubled. So at the start of every hunt, because this is relevant for people who use the bow, right? I was a bow user as part of my run in World and Iceborne. You just started off with this super long ass across the screen bar of stamina. If you wore any 2 pieces of Lunastra, that's what it did. Any 2.
Yeah.
If you wore 3 pieces of Teostra, you got Teostra's Blessing. And in that game, it was Master's Touch. So literally, if you do a crit, you do not lose sharpness on a crit 100% of the time, which was the entire, like that was just broken. So everyone just wore 3 pieces of Teostra. And I really, really like that. They kind of are trying to do something similar with the whole, like, oh, if you wear these 2 pieces of Malzeno, you get his blood right thing. But it's not quite the same because in World, actually, pretty much every monster had a set bonus. Every monster had a set bonus, except Devil Joe for some reason. But everything else had a set bonus. And some of them were crack. And some of them were things that the meta people wouldn't use, but people who like utility or like defensiveness, they had so much to play with. They had so much to play with.
Something I like is that it seems like every monster added in Sunbreak seems to have that system. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, you are correct.
It's just like the old monsters that were in Rise, unfortunately. But like some of them still, like Magnamalo does, for example.
Yeah.
But most of the monsters in Rise don't really have that system. But it seems like almost every Sunbreak monster does have some, like
all of the Sunbreak
monsters, and Espionage and
yep,
they all have it. It's pretty cool.
They all have is somewhat the same, but again, it's not quite because they're tied to specific armor pieces and they weren't.
Oh yeah. You're saying it was just like
so literally
piece of Teostra.
It literally would say when you equip Lunastra stuff, it said if you wear 2 pieces of this, you get Lunastra's Blessing. Lunastra's Blessing effect, double stamina. Your stamina.
Maybe this is their way of like giving you that, but like nerfing it. They were like, oh, that was too good. We got to force it to use these arms.
And that's where my gripe comes in. It's like I don't mind you nerfing it, but didn't give it to every monster. Like have every monster with like a kind of unique skill.
Dude, I would love that.
Like, all the old monsters got kind of like dicked. Like we're talking about the new ones, and they all have these amazing. Foray is completely new, right? Like Bloodright is completely new, and I love these skills.
Luna Garen, for anybody who doesn't know, we talked about this multiple times when we talked about Monster Hunter Sunbreak. The theme of the 3 lords is like Halloween. Garen Golem's like Frankenstein, Luna Garen's a werewolf, and Malzeno's Dracula, a vampire. Luna Garen's a werewolf. So as you know, werewolves transform between 2 forms, human and wolf. Luna Garen's like a wolf, and he transforms, and he's on 4 legs, and he transforms to like this super ice wolf that stands on his hind legs.
Yeah.
So his whole thing is like switching between these 2 things, and he's a werewolf. Anyway, his like set bonus is all about you like utilize the skill swap system where you switch your skills, and if you like perfectly time it, it like gives you these these different buffs and shit. It's just cool.
Is that the redirection thing?
Yeah, redirection. Okay. That's Luna Garen's like set bonus.
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah.
It's really very thematic. I think it's just, like shit like that's really cool. Like Seragiosis is thematic. Like I like the thematic set bonus kind of thing.
Same. And yeah, so I enjoyed that too. And I just wish that even if they nerfed it, just give it to every monster still though. Like make every monster have this unique thing that if you wear these parts of this monster, because what was broken about World was I'm saying that if you just wore any 2 pieces of Lunastra, you got that ability. So obviously you're going to wear the most efficient pieces, right? You're going to wear the pieces that have weakness exploit and attack boost and shit like that. Now she doesn't actually have that, but like that's for example. You would just wear those pieces and say fuck the rest. And if they want to nerf that, then sure, put it on specific pieces. And then that also makes it where it will conflict with other monsters' set bonuses too. Like you can't get Bloodright's not on a decoration as far as I know. So like you can only get Bloodright through wearing those 2 Malzeno parts. And if you wanted to also get like Foray, let's say Foray came on the same 2 you couldn't get both because they know that that's too much. Like that's just too much to have both. So it is a way to balance it, but I just wish that more monsters had them, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think it'd be cool, man. Like even like I love giving shit like that even to the shitty monsters. Like I think it'd be cool if there was like 3 pieces of Great Azuchi that if you wore it, you just got like fucking, I don't know, 100% affinity. Not 100%. Affinity,
yeah, like something that would be cool though. Something to do with affinity, like some unique skill for affinity. Maybe even, yeah. I'm not even gonna say what I was. Yeah, but some unique.
No. What were you gonna say? I want to know.
I was gonna say Master's Touch built into it, where like
that'd be cool. You know what? Or maybe because as far as I know, because the Zuchi has like a bladed tail and everything,
It
so
does.
this could be cool. Maybe when you crit, you like add a bleed effect to the monster because I don't think
That
monsters
would
can be
be.
afflicted with bleed,
They
right?
can't. That would be cool though.
So like 3 pieces of Great Azuchi make it so that like when you crit a monster, you add like you give them a bleed effect for some point
That
of time.
is also how the game got broken. Monster Hunter 3 though. That the fucking slime mechanic that was completely new to one monster basically, except Kelby. It was Kelby and Brachydos, and yeah, one monster could do this thing, inflict slime, and it was outrageous. And I noted it would happen again if they like if Azuchi had that, we would all be wearing Azuchi because they would just somehow, some way the devs would fuck up the math. The math would just not be mathing. The math would just not be mathing, and you'd be doing entirely too much.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. It would be insane. All right, so let's do the Patreon shout outs, and then we can wrap this one up. We're approaching a 2-hour mark. We also have a listener letter, so let's do the Patreon shout outs first, and then we'll do the listener letter, and then we could be done. And yeah, we will go back to playing some Monster Hunter.
We'll probably talk because I haven't even beaten the story yet, so I haven't seen the final boss. So I'm just, fair warning. I'm going to talk about this game again.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Also, so what we have coming up, obviously Stranger Things just ended. It's only 2 episodes. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have Anthony Simpson on for that. He asked to come back for it since he was on for part 1. He actually reached out to us and was like, hey, when are you recording the next part? So we will be doing that soon as well. I think Kenny still has to see the 2 episodes. And then we have all the stuff that we said we were going to do beforehand. So we have like My Hero Academia and Hunter x Hunter, and there's a ton of anime stuff I want to talk about too. And then Bleach is coming back. So there's still a lot to discuss. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to the people on our Patreon who have been supporting us. We have Connie, Austin, Leon, Quest, Xavier, Hylian, TCG Automotive, Silver Chronic, Tyree Tinsley, Dimitri Barnes, Alexander Brissett, Vinny Casello, Giovanni Avalos, Alex Flamer, Ari Reynolds, CJ, WK-1, Dennis Milburn, Joseph Marcello, Red Vines, First to Home, Dallas Fernares, S. Akuba, Mitchell Niles, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Demetrius Fierdes, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Biz, Roz Weiss, and Scott Polera. Thank you guys so much for supporting the IMNerd Podcast. As I always say, we really appreciate it, and it goes a long way. The exclusive episode for the month of June was posted last week, so check that out. It's only exclusive to our people on Patreon. So if you're interested in that type of thing, or if you're interested in joining the IMNerd Podcast Discord, please just check out the Patreon. You can get access to it at the lowest tier, which is only $3, and you get permanent access to it. We don't police it or anything like that. So even if you just subscribe for 1 month, and then you decide, I don't want to stay subscribed, we're in a period of inflation and the economy's bad, I need my $3, then absolutely you can get into the Discord and then you can cancel it. It's fine. But yes, so check that out, and check out our YouTube page as well, where I stream Monster Hunter pretty frequently. I'll probably be streaming a little bit tonight, just doing the follow request. I've been kind of going through that. I really, really love that. Something we didn't even talk about at all in this entire podcast. So
there's a lot of shit to cover.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that in one of our coming up podcasts too. But yeah, thank you guys to our patrons. Now, we have a listener letter from Austin about the Nintendo Direct episode, which is one of our more recent ones. He says, so Monkey Island was the game that really stood out to me from this. I played it growing up back when the game was on floppy disks, which is insane. Mm-hmm. It's an old LucasArts point and click adventure game long before EA got involved with them. The story is about a guy who decides to set out to become a pirate. Okay, well, we resonate with that over at the IMNerd Podcast. He's told to complete these trials before he'll be recognized as a pirate. However, a ghost pirate starts interfering and a whole bunch of stuff happens. The game is also super meta with fourth wall breaks, Easter eggs, and etc. I would say it's as much a kid's game as the cartoons we watch and still watch growing up. Also, the soundtrack is actually pretty fire. So I feel like I remember seeing this game, like just the graphic of it, Monkey Island, but I've never played it for sure.
Yeah, I've played it. I never owned it, but I played it at like a friend's house when I was little. Because like I remember I had friends that had those kind of games. I remember they also had like, I forget what they were called, but they were like these games where to be like third grade adventure, and it was like a game supposed to be for like if you're in third grade, but it would be like this adventure game, but also like ask you questions and shit to teach your kids or whatever. Yeah. But those games were actually, from what I remember, surprisingly kind of fun. But anyway, I remember playing like those kind of computer games at like my friend's house that would have them. But yeah, I don't remember too much about them because I never owned them myself.
Yeah. I mean, from Nintendo Direct, Ken and I, we're heavy on RPGs, so that was like the main thing for us. But there was stuff that I said, I know that there are communities out there and people who really love a lot of this other content. And yeah, it's good for them. Like great for everybody who enjoys all of the things that Nintendo has to offer, which is one of the things I really love about them is they're all over the place when it comes to their audiences. Like there's so many people. There's the heavy Pokemon audience, right? There's a ton of those people who love Pokemon. And then you have the heavy Monster Hunter people. And, now that's the main Monster Hunter game is on Switch. And you got all the different like Hollow Knight and stuff like that. Those kind of games. There was like a newer Hollow Knight looking game coming out. It's not literally Hollow Knight, but it looked very similar to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just something for everybody.
There's like the core games, right? Like there's the core Mario or Zelda or like Smash.
Always. Yeah. What do they call those when it's like a title exclusive to that system?
First party
games. Yep. Nintendo has the most and best first party games pretty much. So yeah, you still won't be playing Smash Bros on PC without doing something extra.
Something
all right.
real extra.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our first podcast.
Wait, this is so random. I'm sorry.
What's happening?
I gotta say one thing. Right. So,
what's happening?
This is related to Monster Hunter. The other day, before Monster Hunter Sunbreak came out, I was like, basically after work, the people I work with asked me to come out to drink with them, right? And I was like, oh nah, like I can't. I gotta go home. Like there's, somebody like people are waiting for me at the house. Yeah. Like I made it sound like I had to go home and do some shit, which isn't true. I just wanted to play Monster Hunter. So I told the one girl I work with that I have to be up really early to go hunting. And she was like, "Oh, what are you?" She was like, "Oh, what are you hunting?" I was like, "I'm going to hunt a Lagiacrus." And she was like, "What's that?" I was like, "It's like a kind of an alligator." And I'm talking about Lagiacrus, which if you don't know, it's a monster hunter from Monster Hunter 3. It's a monster from Monster Hunter 3, which is Fraser saying that reminded me of that. But I was telling her that I have to be up early to go hunt Lagiacrus.
Well, you were saying it like it was normal.
But I was saying it as if I was actually hunting like it was a real animal.
Yeah, like it's just something that exists and that she should know about, and the fact that she doesn't know makes her stupid.
Yeah, exactly. 1,000,000%. That's exactly what I was doing.
You don't know what Lagiacrus is? Seriously?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going out. I was like, they only come out before the sun comes out, and I was explaining to her. I was explaining to her all this. That's not real. I was just making shit up.
I always say, guys, do the things that make you happy.
Like hunting Lagiacrus.
All right, have a good one.